on their soul.
Pascal, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good afternoon. Good morning. And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in great spirits because another day above the dirt is always a blessing. It looks like the internet is back up and running and everything's good now. I hope it stays that way. Okay. Just had to reboot a whole bunch of stuff and just get this whole thing back up and running and together. So I appreciate you guys sticking around, just lingering, waiting for me to be here so I can give you guys the news and talk about what's going on. Okay? No super choppy. No super choppy. Yes, beautiful messy ball. Yes, indeed. So here's the thing. Like I said, I figured that this was going to happen. I said in the earlier video or in the earlier live that I just tried to do 20, 30 minutes ago. Like I said, I'm a mother-loving genius, but all y'all are geniuses as well. Okay? Just saying. Now, here's the thing. I mean, I don't know if the internet is still choppy or not. It looks like it's still rolling just fine for me over here in my neck of the woods. It looks like it's rolling just fine. But hopefully we are good to go. But we'll see what happens, okay? If I am choppy, we'll just have to roll with it and see what it do, okay? We'll just have to roll with it and see what it do. So, do me a solid, okay? If it does get weird, then I might have to just drop off and we're just going to have this conversation on another day or on another time. But right now, so far so good, like you guys are saying, and I'm seeing it on my end. It looks like everything's running smoothly. Everything's good to go. So, as I was saying, we got a lot to talk about, so let's get into it, okay? There's a lot to go on, a lot to talk about, so please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below, crush it, do what it do, hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. And if you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, make sure you hit that follow button. Follow. I'm on all those mugs, please and thank you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button right here on my YouTube channel. Please and thank you. You know your boy's working hard out here in these streets to give you the conversations and the stories that you need for the day. And we have quite the story right now. And again, I think we're all geniuses because this is a pattern. We've seen this pattern a million times before. But hit that join button down below, hit that like button, okay? Hit that like button. Of course, hit that notification bell, set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, please and thank you. Hit that join button down below, become a member, check out my Patreon, which is right there on the ticker going across the bottom of the screen right there. Go support if you want to support even further. Go check that out over there. And of course, check out PascalMerch.com. Okay? PascalMerch.com. Go check it out. It's really great. We got some really great stuff over there, so go check it out. PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys. Like I said, there was a huge storm that just came through last night. It was pretty insane. So the internet was just a little choppy. It looks like everything's good for now, but it might get choppy in a little bit. I don't know. The internet has been fairly weird all day. So hopefully everything will be good and we'll be able to get this show running and going. But we have got to have a conversation, guys. We have got to have a conversation. Like I just said a second ago, we were all brilliant. That's it. We were all brilliant because, again, we heard this before. And I know I just said a few things in the beginning of with the last stream. I'm going to say it again because obviously now we have a good internet connection. So we're going to get this conversation moving. So I might sound like I repeated myself. You're just going to have to roll with it. All right. But nonetheless, knew that we were brilliant. Why? Because we are all very, very knowledgeable of the repeat pattern that we've seen as of late. 1 minute they're going, we're going to get you. You know, Iran better not act a fool. We're going to drop bombs on you. And then the next second, oh no, the Strait of Hormuz is wide open. We're working out peace deals. They're begging for a deal, so on and so forth, right? They're begging for a deal. They want to make something happen so badly. They're doing everything they can to have a conversation with us. Yes, ceasefires are starting to pop off everywhere around the Middle East. Everything's going to be coming up roses, and we're going to be talking about peace here very soon. It's going to be amazing. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Iran decides to stop all that and open fire on oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, I just want to make this abundantly clear. We're all brilliant. Okay? We're all geniuses. Why, you may ask? Well, because we've seen this pattern before. And now, me personally, and I don't know about you guys, but me personally, I'm starting to ask questions. Truly, I'm starting to ask questions now, because at this point, we've been hearing nothing but the constant, we're back on, we're off, we're on, we're off, we're on, we're off again. And now I'm starting to wonder, is this for some sort of financial gain rather than trying to bring peace in the Middle East? I'm just saying. The questions that I have now are running rampant through my mind, and I am very curious. What in the actual F is going on right now? Think about this for a second. Think about this, because, you know, we talked about this yesterday too. And I'm going to try to tell you this too. I am not like some guy who knows everything about how stocks work, and, you know, I'm not like some day trader or anything like that. I'm just a regular guy with a microphone. Okay. I've definitely been interested in looking into day trading. Let's be real. People make crazy money off that ish. Shoot. If I could do that as a side gig, that would be amazing, right? It is a fascinating piece, right? But I don't know much about it. But I do know when stocks are low, you buy in hopes that they go back to being high again so you can make a profit. Because if the stocks rise, then you make money, right? So on and so forth. And if you notice, the stocks are reacting to what's going on overseas. And as soon as Trump says something about the Strait of Hormuz opening, or a ceasefire happening, or talks of peace, the world market reacts to that. The world market reacts to that. Like I said, I am not a genius in marketing, or I'm sorry, in stock markets, in trade, in any of that stuff. Okay, I'm not one of those guys. Knew a lot of those guys back in the day. Okay, but I still know a lot of those guys like that now too. But that is not something that I am personally an expert in. Okay, but I do know stocks are low, you buy. When stocks go up because you just bought it, hell yeah, you either sell or you wait because it's possibly going to go higher, right? But whenever stocks go down and they get low, you use that opportunity to scoop up that bag in hopes that it'll go back up, right? And haven't we seen that as of late? It's been doing this, the stock market, The market has been just going up and down, up and down, up and down. The price of oil, a barrel of oil has been just going skyrocketing high and then plummeting all the way down below. Now it went below $90. Okay, this is what's so crazy about this, right? So you hear him say that over and over and over again, and you know for a fact people who are into stocks, into whatever, they're using all of this. They're using all this information to make a fat penny, to be really honest. Because right now, this would be the time to start looking at the stocks, right? And see what's going on. Because right now, I'm sure stocks, as soon as the stock market feels this, right? Prices, the stock is going to drop, right? So then what happens? People buy. And then he says, there's peace. We're talking ceasefire. They tried to be a little cute. They were trying to be cute. But peace is in talks, right? What happens? Stock market drops. Stock market goes up. You see what I'm saying? So again, as we're seeing, this is full on a roller coaster ride that we're seeing within the market, the world market. And anybody who's watching this that is in this whole game of making money, what are they going to do? They're watching the stock market like a mug, and they're listening to everything that Trump says. Because Trump is manipulating the freaking market right now. I said it and I don't give a damn. You tell me different. You tell me, oh no, this is totally innocent, bro. This is totally innocent, bro. No, he's just trying to make peace in the Middle East, man. No, he's not. No, he is not. This whole thing is about market manipulation. Market manipulation. He's trying to make some dough. Market manipulation. You know what I mean? That's literally what he's doing. He's trying to make some cash. That's at least how I feel. Maybe there's some other people, like I said, there's some other really brilliant people that know everything about finance and how to do X, Y, and Z. They might be sitting there going, well, actually, no, sir, it's totally wrong. He is trying to bring peace. Then that's fine. But how I'm feeling, what I'm seeing right now, I see market manipulation. And you don't think he's making a little bit of that bread through his son-in-laws? Jared Kushner. You don't think that's happening? Again, like I said, I may have the unpopular opinion right now. Okay? I may have the unpopular opinion right now, or I may have the popular opinion. But what I feel right now is that this man is saying one thing, and then we're hearing something completely different. Here's the other thing, too. In his defense, I know, oh my God. What? In defense of Trump? What? What you say? I'm absolutely flabbergasted. Here's the thing. In defense of Trump, he did say out loud, Strait of Hormuz, completely open, right? He said all that. And he also said, Israel better not drop bombs on Lebanon. Enough is enough. Remember all that? In defense of Trump, Iran did come back and say, yeah, we open. Strait is open, bruh. We Gucci. We working things out, baby. We are working things out, but for the time being, the strait will be open until this ceasefire agreement is over. They did say that. I want to make that abundantly clear. They did say that. They agreed. Yes. It's wide open. Okay? The strait's wide open. Okay? And they were allowed to come in with their vessels. Oil tankers. Anyone, by the way. Of course, Trump kind of threw his nose up in the air towards NATO allies, toward NATO countries, and said, oh, now you want your oil. Now you want to come through and go, so when can we get some of this bread, son? And he's like, oh, now you want to be here. I see you. I see you, right? Other than that, Strait of Hormuz is wide open. They gave him the green light. You know what I'm saying? All ready to go. And then all of a sudden, late last night, I guess while we were sleeping or dealing with possible tornadoes hitting our homes, the Strait of Hormuz suddenly gets shut down, and the IRGC, the Iranian regime, suddenly opens fire on at least 2 vessels out of nowhere. Absolutely out of nowhere, y'all. Make this make sense. Make it make sense. This actually happened. So again, in defense of Trump, for just 2 seconds, okay, and I know, Legend, I know you're like, out of nowhere. Okay, out of nowhere. Not really out of nowhere, but you get what I'm saying. We're thinking, yeah, gas is going down. The stock market's not, imploding. People are going to get gas again. Everything's Gucci, right? And then they do that. They shot on 2 vessels out of nowhere, and now they go, this is mine. That's literally what they said. They're like, we are not open. We are closed for business. The hell you doing, bro? The hell you, whoa, you are not allowed in this club. We did not say you were allowed to be here, bro. The hell you talking about? 20 vessels had to turn around. Literally, in fact, turn around, everybody go back home. We're closed for the night, man. Yeah, shut up, Mary. Shut up, Mary. Go home. Your 15 kids and your 700 baby daddies. Go home. Right? Pretty crazy, right? I don't know how that math is with the 1,700 baby daddies and the 17 kids, but we ain't here to do easy math, okay? But still, kick rocks. Get out my face. This is what the IRGC is saying now. Kick mother-loving rocks, right? Now, real quick, Nurse for God, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. Pascal, you're always spot on. Thank you for all you do for us. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much for the super chat. But nonetheless, yeah, the math works out. Yeah, the 17 baby daddies, 17 kids with the 1,700. What did I say? I don't even know anymore. It doesn't even matter. You get the joke, okay? Now, here's the thing. I'm concerned, okay? I'm very, very concerned because we're in a time where we should kind of know what the hell we're doing. You know what I'm saying? We should kind of know if we have a deal on the table or not, right? Nurse for God, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. I appreciate it. But we should know exactly where we're at. And no, beautiful, I have not looked into Gilgamesh. And I will try to look into that another time, okay? But thank you for the reminder. In fact, I'm going to write that down before I forget. Look into Gilgamesh. Okay. All right. But it is a very, very big concern, in my personal opinion, because one moment we say that we Gucci, one moment we're saying we're working things out, one moment everybody's supposed to be happy, going ooh, we're we're on the steps towards bringing peace and making things not so chaotic anymore, and then the next minute we're seeing the IRGC, the Iranian regime, open fire on the likes of 2 oil tankers, or just oil tankers in general, and then telling all the other tankers that are trying to go through, all these other vessels, to F off. Here's the other thing too. America is still involved in they still have their own blockade going on as well. So the Strait of Hormuz is still being blockaded, if that's even a word, by America as well. But then Iran is sitting there going, this is our strait. This is my town. This is my street. But then you also got America still in the Strait of Hormuz, blockading the strait as well. Remember, I want to remind you, here's the other thing too. Not in defense of Trump, but I just want you, Iran be flexing. They straight up flexing. They're flexing. This is my city, right? But what's interesting about this is that Trump also said, we're having peace, right? Strait of Hormuz. He said, Strait of Iran, wide open, is open, right? He said all that in his Truth Social post. But then also at the same time, he said later, we still have a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. So you go ahead and make that make sense, cabron. Cause it make no sense. Papers, we ain't got no papers, cabron. Doesn't make sense to me. How can you have the whole thing open if you say that how can you say it's open if you still have blockades going all over the strait? You know what I'm saying? How can you say that that bad boy wide open and still have a blockade? Make that make sense. Does that make sense to you? Because it doesn't make sense to me. It feels like the communication wires are a bit frayed. Don't you think? Maybe I'm out of my mind. But that's the vibe. Excuse me. That's the vibe I'm getting. But, anything's possible. Let's hear what Fox has to say about this, because I find this a bit strange.
We're going to be bringing you President Trump as he will be signing an executive order live there at the White House. But as we await that feed, we want to continue to talk about the latest with the Strait of Hormuz. We brought you this news here within the past hour as Iran now reimposing these restrictions on the Strait of Hormuz, warning it will continue to block transit. Iran swiftly reversing course on reopening the Strait of Hormuz this morning after we saw yesterday that President Trump and Iran had said it had been reopened. Iran saying that the blockade was a violation of last week's ceasefire agreement between Iran and the U.S. Of course, this comes as President Trump said the American blockade on Iranian ships and ports will remain in full force until Tehran reaches a deal with the U.S., including on its nuclear program. A lot to discuss here. I want to bring in Arathi Krishnan. She is the geopolitical strategist and CEO at Raksha Intelligence to break this all down for us this morning. Thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me, Christy. It's been a lot of happening overnight, and I'm pleased to be here.
Yeah, there's been a lot of developments, and I really just want to start with this breaking news. Iran reimposing these restrictions on the strait. Really, what led to this? Because within the past 24 hours, we had saw President Trump saying it's reopened. What changed overnight?
So I think, first of all, I would take us a step back. Yesterday, I would say two men on two different podiums said two different things. In Tehran, Iran's foreign minister announced that the Strait of Hormuz was, in his own phrasing, completely open.
Right.
In Washington, President Trump posted that the strait was ready for business and full passage. But Arachi's sentence had a tail clause that most people missed. And the strait is open, he did say, on the coordinated route announced previously by Iran's Ports and Maritime Organization. But what was actually happening was that commercial vessels may pass, but military vessels may not. The ships have to use a coordinated route.
Hold on. They have to use a coordinated route. We're going to listen to the rest of that. But wait a second. That doesn't make any sense to me. Does that make sense to you? So they're saying commercial vessels are not allowed to go through. But wait a second. That doesn't make any sense, right? Does that make sense to you? If it's wide open, then there's no caveats. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, we back together? Cool. And then it's like, no, but here's the thing, though. Like, we together, but there's certain things we can and can't do now. What do you mean we can't do this? Wait, we were doing it just fine before. Wait a second. We ain't a couple? Are we not a thing? We don't have that label anymore? What's going on here, man? So are they working things like, is this? Oh, see, that's the thing. They're not. It's almost like they're calling out audibles at the last minute. Does that make sense? Like, never mind. Forget that we're going to even talk about this anymore. Like, forget that we're going to talk about ceasefire, but there's certain things that we need so we have control over this, so that we feel that we are in control of this situation. And we can't turn to you and just say yes to everything. Because you did some things and I'm not okay with it. So I need to remind you who's in mother loving charge here. And that for damn show ain't you. And I could have sworn, ain't majority of the mother loving vessels commercial anyway? Like, when you say commercial, ain't that mean all of them? Because they're all commercial that are going in, export, import, etc., right? Yeah, mostly oil too. Classic. So again, make that make sense. The math ain't fully mathing for me there, right? Oh yeah, thank you so much for the love. Iran specified only commercial can pass. DJ T lied. Interesting. Okay. Where's that? Sky. Thank you so much, Sky. Maybe Iran opened it in an effort to get Chinese weapons in through the strait. Oh, snap. Thinking USA would end blockade. Thoughts? You know, that's a very good question. That's a very good thought, that maybe that they were saying, yeah, we can open it. That's totally fine. Come on through. And then it's Chinese. A Chinese boat was able to get through. They were definitely able to get through. What if during that time it was disguised, like they were thinking that, you know, America was thinking that maybe that he was, you know, like maybe China was disguising as if they are an oil tanker, or they were literally getting oil, but also dropping off some weapons. Maybe that's possible. That is possible. You see what I'm saying? Because a Chinese vessel was able to get through without any issues just a day or two ago, before Trump actually said that the strait was wide open. So again, something very interesting is going on here for sure. Okay, and maybe that is the case, Sky High. Okay, that's a very good possibility, which would be absolutely insane if that's the case, right? But let's continue on. Let's hear what she got to say.
Done by the Iranian authorities, which in practice is a lane that hugs or enters Iranian territorial waters. And the arrangement is explicitly conditional on the Lebanon ceasefire holding. And Iran's own stated reason this morning is the U.S. blockade, Christy. The IRGC Navy said that it will remain under strict control as long as Iranian vessels can't move freely in and out. And Galibaf also publicly said that they have scrapped the reopening because the blockade stays in place. So Tehran is tying the strait directly to the blockade and putting the ball back in Washington's court. But what's also visible in the sequence is that when Foreign Minister Araghchi opened the strait Friday conditionally tied to the Lebanon ceasefire, the IRGC overrode that opening overnight. So whether that reflects what I presume to be a genuine split inside the regime between the diplomatic track and the military track, or a coordinated good cop, bad cop play, we don't know yet, but both the readings are live.
And we still haven't heard from President Trump yet on this here this morning.
I mean, he did talk about this later. So this is from earlier today, just so you know. He did talk about a few things, and he literally said, like, you know, They were cute. It's like, what? Cute? This is not cute. Them opening fire on the likes of innocent vessels, by the way. These are not, these are not warships that are trying to go into the Strait of Hormuz. These are innocent oil tankers that are commercial vessels that are trying to go through the Strait of Hormuz so that they can continue business as usual. All right. And and Iran is like, nah, bro, you're not allowed to come through. Braca, braca. Weird. Okay, let me play a little bit more of this.
Hopefully in a few moments here we will, as he's signing this executive order. But from really where all of this goes from here, you know, I see a lot of our viewer comments who are saying, I'm confused. It's open, then it's closed, then it's open, then it's closed. Yeah. You know, going forward here, what is it really going to take to have a final conclusion on whether the Strait of Hormuz is going to be fully opened again?
So I think what we're seeing emerge is a new play. And that is a play on the chokehold on global energy. What Iran is doing, and doing arguably well, is to indicate that they can play with the world's access to oil, to global energy, to commodity prices, and they can switch it on and switch it off like a dial whenever they want. And at the moment, we are arguably behest to that. Whether this is going to hold or not is unclear at the moment because there are so many things at play. But the thing that I want to give the viewers something that most coverage is missing. This isn't just about oil. It's an interconnected set of American vulnerabilities.
Clearly, this is all about that too. But here it is. Not all wanderers are lost. Thank you so much for the super chat. Iran also said, never Israel again. Donald Trump said, everyone. If that is the case, I mean, I think that there's more than just that going on, but thank you so much for the super chat. I think that there's more going on for sure. I really think that it's not only just like them sitting there going like, we ain't trying to have you be kind to the country of to Israel at all, and all that. And I'm sure that's what's going on here too. But at the same time, the U.S. also shut off ports from Iran. And then also, as far as this ceasefire that's supposed to be going on between Israel and Lebanon, apparently, I guess things are not fully sticking like they're supposed to. So people are, of course, Iran is not very happy about that turn of events as well. They still were cutting off ports for Iran, the U.S. So, of course, Iran's like, oh, F you. If you're literally shutting off our ports, you're doing blockades and you're still running the blockade in the strait. Oh, no. This is our town. This is our street. This is our Strait of Hormuz. Don't even try to step forward and try to be cute, President Trump. That's basically what they're saying. And this is exactly what she's saying. Like, they're trying to exact and exercise the kind of power that they actually do have, the kind of influence that they do have on the world market. So that's exactly what we're seeing right here, which is also just crazy, if you ask me. Okay, let me just roll that. Let me just roll that back just a tiny bit so we can hear that full thought real quick.
Whether this is going to hold or not is unclear at the moment because there are so many things at play. But the thing that I want to give the viewers something that most coverage is missing. This isn't just about oil. It's an interconnected set of American vulnerabilities. So we know that 20% of the world's oil passes through the strait. And when it closes, prices spike. When it reopens, they drop. We saw it yesterday. But go further. It also carries 20% of the world's liquefied natural gas. That's helium, aluminium, fertilizer that Asian semiconductor hubs need. And so when shipments reroute around the Cape of Good Hope, costs jump up, and that cascades into everything from our phone to our car to the food system because of fertilizer disruption. And the other thing I want to say here is that the Strait of Hormuz, when it closed, insurance also pulled out. War risk insurance premiums spiked 60-fold. And what that means is that when the Trump administration directed the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation to write the coverage instead, it's now on the hook for up to $40 billion if tankers get hit, mined, or seized. So what that means is that if an Iranian missile damages a commercial tanker this week, American taxpayers pay the claim. If one ship gets hit, that's a manageable several hundred million. If this escalates and multiple tankers are lost, we're into billions of taxpayer exposure fast.
Now, another question that I thought of that I'm curious about, even if the strait, was to be fully open, what practical barriers would remain if we're thinking about insurance, security risks, naval presence? Could that still limit global shipping? What would that impact look like?
I think
Sorry, I got another story. I got another piece of breaking news I'm going to share with you guys here in just a second. I'm just going to do this now. Yo, Trump is wilding, y'all. Or as some of y'all say, wilding. Trump happens to be wilding right now. He's such a little jokester. No, it's not a jokester. It's really bad. He's wilding out. He's wilding out here in these streets. He's wilding. Okay. Yeah. There's more breaking, and it all has to do with what's going on over there. Okay. Yeah. He had his funky Cold Medina. Okay. He had his wild thing. I don't know what's going on. He don't drink, so I don't know what kind of thing he's getting high off of, but he's not making the situation any better. So guess what's going to happen? Guess what's going to happen to the market? Guess what happens to the market? Is this little piggy going to the market? Yeah, he's wilding. Hold on.
The most important thing there, all of those are absolutely valid and true. And the one thing that is also not being discussed there, that's also hidden underneath the headlines, is the toll. So when what Iran is effectively doing is charging a toll to any tanker going through. So that does have an impact on cost, which does impact on the rest of us because it increases what commodities and oil will mean for us. It will have an impact on insurance. And more importantly, and this is the most interesting thing about it, in the 2 billion or the reported 2 billion toll, it isn't paid in dollars. It's not paid in US dollars. The last tanker that paid it in yuan. And analysts are starting to call this the petro yuan time, meaning that an alternative financial architecture that is bypassing the US dollar is being formed here, directly impacting on China, on the US, and on other ships and on other states that have to pay that toll as they go through.
And then if we look ahead even more here, if the U.S. keeps tightening enforcement, Iran keeps testing the limits.
Okay, yeah. So, this is only getting more and more insane. So just get ready, guys. We got some more stuff. This is not making the situation. This is not making the situation any better. Just to be completely real, things are now just getting hairier and hairier. So I gotta get straight into the breaking news. Let's see. Oh yeah, just said, how do we know that he really doesn't drink? He lies. Yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, apparently he doesn't drink. I feel like if he did drink, we'd see much worse. We'd see much worse reactions and things than what we're seeing right now. I think I feel like we'd be in a much more imploding type of situation. All right. There'd be a lot more dun moments than ever before. Man, do I need to get a new chair? Oh, my dear God. Okay. But other than that, this whole chair is broken, by the way. I don't know if you guys noticed that, just sharing random news, random stories, but this whole thing's broken. I'm not kidding. It's broken. So I can't even lean back on this mug anymore. Yeah, that's how broken it is. But it is what it is. I got to keep telling you guys the stories and give you guys the news. Okay, it's my duty to please that booty with news. I don't know what I'm saying. Just roll with me. Okay, just roll with me. But we got some breaking news, guys, and this is not making the situation any better. Like I said, Trump is wilding. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, indeed. So now Trump is having. Yeah, I need a new chair. Papa needs a brand new chair. But the U.S. military is now preparing to seize Iran-linked vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. So let's take a look at this. This is all breaking news. Okay? This is all breaking news. Okay? Oh, wow. Well, Nurse for God, diggity dang. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. Thank you. Wow. Aw. Thank you. Fun train for a new chair, Pascal. Okay, random left turn, just really quick. First off, Nurse for God, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, the chairs aren't cheap. The good ones, the ergonomic, whatever the thing is. So, it helps with your L4, L5s. You know what I mean? Vertebrae and whatnot. Those chairs are not cheap. You know what I'm saying? So thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Summertime. Amazon got good chairs. It does. They do. I need to look that up. I need to look that up because this has been a long time coming. So thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Nicole B. Thank you so much for the chair fund. I just said I didn't say that to to try to get money off y'all. Okay, but I do appreciate the new chair fund. If you want to, by all means. So that's greatly appreciated. But yeah, your boy needs a new chair. Pretty damn bad. But it's just called time. Okay, it's called time. And and those chairs aren't cheap. Okay. I wasn't soft begging. I swear to God, I was not. I was just letting you guys know, just a random story, because that's just how much I care. Okay, to give you guys the stories, and thank you so much for the chair fund. That's so random. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so here's the thing. Back into this story. And seriously, thank you. That means the world to me. Wasn't even asking for that. I swear. I was just letting you know, like, I was just being funny. I swear. But moving on. Trump is wilding, y'all. He is wilding. He's wilding out. This mother lover is now just making things even worse, by the by. Because in the beginning, remember, he's like, hey, we're going to make things cool. We're going to do everything cool, Kai. And then all of a sudden, now we're in this crap. Okay? New York Grasshopper. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. So let's take a look at this. Okay? We gotta keep the story moving. Okay? We're watching this in real time. We're watching this in real time. So the U.S. military is readying to board ships linked to Iran and seize commercial vessels in international waters in the coming days as President Trump looks to expand a naval blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. A source familiar with the matter speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss the internal military planning told The Hill today. The planning comes as the military is already enforcing the naval blockade in the Gulf of Oman, turning back 23 whole vessels that attempted to leave Iranian ports on Monday. Hold on. So planning comes as the military is already enforcing naval blockade in the Gulf of Oman, turning back 23 vessels that attempted to leave Iranian ports on Monday. So they've already turned people around and said, F off. Go back. You're not welcome to leave. You're not allowed to get in here. You're not allowed to get out. Get the F out. Go back to from whence you came from. Imagine that. 23 whole vessels already. Turn back. The expanded enforcement could come as Iran has effectively closed the strait. So Iran now has the strait. Let me repeat that again for those of y'all who are all in the mother-loving nosebleed seats. Iran has taken over the Strait of Hormuz, everybody. And Trump is wilding. That's what's going on right now. And now Trump is basically saying, F you. Oh, F me? Oh, I F on you. And now he's saying, I'm taking over all of your ships, all your ally ships, all those Iranian, that rich oil, that delicious, rich oil will be all mine. Can you believe that ish? Okay? So the expanded enforcement could come as Iran has effectively closed the strait, like I said a second ago, a vital shipping pathway, which we already know, but responsible, just so you guys who don't know what's going on, okay, it be called the Strait of Hormuz, and they transport roughly about 20% of the world's oil supply, okay, leading to increase in energy and gas prices. So if he shuts it all the way down, the world is effed. Do you understand that? Absolutely effed. So you don't want that to happen. Iran has reportedly attacked several vessels in the channel a day after its foreign minister claimed the waterway was completely open for commercial ships following the temporary truce reached between Lebanon and Israel. And maybe that truce has not truly been reached. I don't know. But hopefully they're able to reach around that truce. The move caused oil prices to drop dramatically on Friday. The Hill reached out to the U.S. Command CENTCOM, okay, for comment. The planning of the expanded crackdown was they've been hanging out with too many kids, okay? But they're hoping for the crackdown, for an expanded crackdown, was first reported by the Wall Street Journal. The Iranian regime reversed course on Saturday, announcing it would resume strict management of the Strait of Hormuz after Trump said the U.S. blockade would remain in full force until a deal is reached to end the conflict. So it is announced that until the U.S. ends its obstruction of full freedom of movement of vessels from and to Iran, the situation in the Strait of Hormuz will remain under strict control and in its previous state. So in other words, we're back to where we were again. Back to ground zero, all freaking over again, okay? This is what an IRGC spokesperson said in a statement posted to the social media platform X, or formerly known as Twitter. Yeah, Nate. Okay, well, there we go again. Breaking news, Trump is wilding. Trump is wilding out. Where's Nick Cannon when you need him, okay? Family reunion, who you introducing? You know what I'm saying? Wilding out, nobody. Moving on. The president, during an executive order signing ceremony, told reporters they wanted to close up the strait again. And they've been doing as they've been doing for years. They can't blackmail us, he added. Trump also signaled that the talks with Iran and Pakistan seem to be going very well. though last weekend's negotiations in Pakistan ended without an agreement. He told reporters during an Air Force One gaggle, a gaggle on Friday, that the U.S. could, quote unquote, drop bombs again. Yes, he did. They could drop bombs again on Tehran if a long-term deal is not reached. The 2-week ceasefire in the region is set to end on Wednesday. And now we're already here where they're going to board ships that are linked to Iran and they're about to just take them over. We have turned into pirates. Where is Captain Jack Sparrow when you need him? Just saying. The president, according to Axios, also convened a White House Situation Room meeting early Saturday to discuss Iran. Yeah, we've turned into pirates. We have turned into pirates, argmi matey. So this is a very interesting situation, okay? Very, very, very interesting situation nonetheless. So again, this is what's happening right now. Breaking freaking news, man. U.S. military is preparing to board Iran-linked vessels and basically seizing those vessels because of what's going on right now in Iran or in the Strait of Hormuz, with Iran basically saying, this is our thing, this is not your thing, so miss me with that nonsense. We own this place. We run this street, not you. Because it all has to do with, one, ports being shut down and cut off by America, because America still has some semblance of a blockade going on in the Strait of Hormuz. And then also at the same time, there's apparently, I guess allegedly, no true ceasefire going on between Lebanon and Israel. And that is causing a problem. Yes, yes, the Creep Show. Breaking news. Israel saying, miss me with that nonsense. Indeed. Indeed. Okay? That is literally what we are seeing in real time. All right? Miss me with that nonsense. Yeah. So that is breaking right now. That just broke. Things are not getting any better anytime soon, I have a feeling, guys. Yep. Let's take a look at these. And then, of course, we have definitely got to talk about Kash Patel, okay? He is Pete Hegseth more than Pete Hegseth right now in these streets. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Stay tuned.
Thanks for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. We do want to continue on with our coverage of today's top stories. And as we teased a short time ago, we're going to continue that, having these conversations with some of our experts focusing there on the Strait of Hormuz. We're taking a live look there at some of the marine traffic that is ongoing there through the strait at this time. But there was a big movement earlier this morning when Iran said that it was going to tighten control over the Strait of Hormuz, now warning mariners that the energy lifeline was once again closed. This, of course, comes as shipping sources said that at least 2 vessels reported coming under fire while trying to transit that waterway. Tehran has since said that it was responding to a continued U.S. blockade of Iranian ports, calling it a violation of their ceasefire. In the meantime, though, we have learned that the supreme leader of Iran says that the Navy is ready to inflict, quote, new bitter defeats on its enemies. This, of course, comes just one day after President Trump made an announcement on his True Social page that the Strait of Hormuz would be open for business. So to dive into these newest developments, I now want to bring into the conversation with the Middle East Institute, Alex Vatanka. Alex, thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox.
It's great to be with you, Christina. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's get to the very latest. Of course, we're focusing there on the Strait of Hormuz. It was open, now it's closed. What are we sort of learning about this back and forth between the U.S. and Iran? What is Iran now focusing on and the meaning behind now closing the strait?
So, Christina, I think the Iranians, at least that's what they're saying, that they were under the impression that as soon as they came out, and they did so, the foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, said so yesterday, they came out and said, okay, the strait is now open for business. And then President Trump came out and said, that's great, thank you, Iran, but we're going to keep the blockade on you, your ports, your shipping. And the Iranians were, again, based on what they're saying, taken back by that. In fact, there was a moment of acrimony, if you will, in Tehran. The foreign minister was accused of having been too premature in declaring that the strait was open. I don't know if that reflects genuine policy disagreement in Tehran, but long story short, within hours yesterday, I think within 10 hours of the strait being open, Iran then said, actually, that's not the case. We're going to go back and control. So,
Yeah, this is it's very odd. Okay, how things have been going on. It's odd, but then it's not odd because we're used to seeing this crap. We're used to this now, guys. We should be completely immune to this situation. Not trying to trigger anybody, but I'm sure it's like, it's like we're used to mommy and daddy being together and then not together anymore. We're used to daddy saying, yeah, we're getting back together and everything's going to be fine. And then 5 seconds later, mama's sitting there going, no, we ain't together. You see what I'm saying? So again, we're used to this, with them bickering and then them saying, oh, we're working everything out and everything's going to be Gucci, and then it not being Gucci, right? So, Emily, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate the super chat. The Daily Beast posted a video yesterday where they talked about Trump's mental state with an expert. It's worse than we thought if he is right. Now, here's the thing. I'm glad you brought this up. Here's the thing. I gotta keep it a beam, all right? Don't get me wrong. I think he's absolutely out of his mind. There's no question about that. I don't think that he's mentally stable. But I don't think we're ever going to get that truth from anybody. I don't think, I would, oh my Lord, do you know, I would give everything. I would give so much for a doctor to actually run tests on the dude and actually come out and tell us the truth. And not give us the crap of oh, he's the healthiest man in the history of the world. He's the healthiest man ever. We're just and I get it. We're going to have people hypothesize, conspirarize. We're going to have people coming up with all kinds of things to just basically say, yeah, he's lost his marbles. But it hits different when you actually hear it from somebody who's actually ran tests on that mother lover. And I would give anything for any of these doctors that actually have run tests on him to actually step forward and go, yeah, no, sir, he is not okay. He is not well. No, he's not. As much as you think he's okay, he is not. But this is the same thing. They did the same doggone thing with Biden. Yeah, I said it. They said they did the same doggone thing to Biden. They made it, they gave off the vibe. He clearly was not well, and they just dodged. They went around that stuff as much as they could, right? In this situation, no one is willing to say the loud part out loud because the world is obviously reacting. The world is clearly seeing that he's not well. Dogs know it. The wind knows it. He's not well. But there's people that surround him that will sit there and go, he is the most resilient, the healthiest, however old he is in the world of that age bracket in the history of the world, even though he eats nothing but McDonald's every single day. Processed meats every single day, like smoking packs of cigarettes every single time he eats that food. You see what I'm saying? Oh, I'll always be honest about Biden or any of these presidents. He was not well in the head either. And we saw, thank you so much, Messi, though. We saw that mental decline in real time, which was even more just disturbing, which was really even just very sad because he clearly was not well. There's no question about that. None. He was not well. And what did we see? Come on. Am I still here? Shoot. Hopefully I am. Oh, thank God. Yeah, it just freaked out on me. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry about that. But I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still standing. I'm still strong. But I'm still here. I don't know what the hell happened there. Okay. Jeez. Yeah. Okay. But as you guys know, all right, like that's the thing. We see constant issues. We see, and don't get me wrong. Don't worry. We're still here. We're still here. But what's very, very frustrating about this whole situation, yeah, I had to reboot everything. Damn. It just fried out on me, which is really, really annoying. So give me a second here. But what's really frustrating about the presidents that we've had, okay, we are too busy, seeing nothing but, them, changing course and trying to come up with any excuse under the sun to make it seem like, you see what I'm saying? To make it seem like he, that president is the perfect president of all time. It's like, no, they're getting old. And just be honest about it. And if they are not fit to run this country, be honest about it. But you got doctors that are not telling the truth. They're lying to the American people. They're lying to us. And that's frustrating. They did it with Biden too. Come on, guys. They did it with Biden too. There's no question about that. There is no argument. Now, let me just say this too. Reboot, like refresh the page. Refresh your page if you're having issues with sound. I know you can't hear me by me saying that, but I'm just going to say that out loud. Just hit refresh because for some odd reason, the program that I'm using just decided to stop. Just decided to reboot for some weird reason. Okay. But thank God it was able to stay back on the stream, which I'm very happy about. Okay. So please do that for me. Okay. Yeah. Again, if I'm breaking up really bad, I got good internet here. That wasn't the internet was not the issue. It was the program. It was the damn program. So just do me the solid and just hit refresh on your page, and hopefully it will. Everything will be back to normal. In fact, I'm going to try to close some of these programs here real quick too, just to make sure, just to avoid any of these issues in the future. So again, when it comes to the doctors basically saying, oh yeah, they're doing great. They're the healthiest they've ever been in the history of healthy. I believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. And I'd rather hear from somebody who is not, working for them in a way to give us a true, honest breakdown, you know what I mean, of that particular president. Give us an unbiased breakdown, but they won't do that. They'll bring in somebody who is pro that person, etc., to give us what they believe is the truth when it's not. It's just all a bunch of malarkey. But moving on. Thank you so much for the super chats and everything, guys. But again, hearing, outside experts say, he's not well. Duh! We already know he's not well. We've been known. Okay? We've already been known he's not well. There's no argument there. We shouldn't have to argue about, is he okay? Is he not okay? How he be? He's not well. We already know that. We're seeing it in real time. But it'd be nice if the doctors, that are watching him were honest to the American people too, because they're straight up lying to the American people, right? Isn't that against some sort of Hippocratic oath of some sort? Isn't it? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just asking for a friend. But let us continue with this video, okay? We got more
talks that are supposed to happen anytime in Islamabad, but the fact that some boats or shipping was targeted kinetically, that's a disturbing development. I hope we don't see much more of that in the next few hours and days to come.
Absolutely. I think that was the piece that stood out to most folks as they woke up this morning, hearing that vessels had been apparently fired on while trying to traverse the strait. I do want to put this up on our screen from Reuters with Phil Stewart reporting this, that Iran is broadcasting this message: attention all ships, regarding the failure of the U.S. government to fulfill its commitment to the negotiation. Iran declares the Strait of Hormuz completely closed again. No vessel or any type of nationality is allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. And so now I want to ask you, as we're kind of involving the information that you're giving us, also seeing the reporting that's coming there from the region, where do the Iranians now stand on these peace negotiations as the ceasefire is set to end on Wednesday? I know that there are still some non-negotiables that are on the table. What are the Iranians now focused on?
So, Christina, looking at Iranian sources, talking to folks who are following that closely in Tehran, I don't see any indication that they are giving up on the idea of diplomacy. In fact, the best we have right now is that officials in Tehran are reviewing the proposal that the Pakistani Field Marshal Asim Munir brought to Tehran just a few days ago. He was there for 2 days, if I remember right, and that was a proposal. How much of that proposal was American only versus also the Pakistani input, I don't know. But the fact is, the Iranians are reviewing a proposal which I have to assume is obviously the agenda that will be perhaps the framework going into the next round of talks, which again most likely will be in Islamabad. So, Christina, no sign that Iran is walking away from diplomacy, but both sides are obviously engaged in this maximalist sort of posturing, having as much leverage as they can before these talks begin. And again, this has been true for a long time, from day one. The optics, both Washington and Tehran really want to look like they're not the underdog walking into these talks, whether if not the upper hand, at least as equals.
Absolutely. And so as you're talking about some of those negotiations, and really optics is at the center, like you said, but I want to ask you, is there any realistic scenario at this point where Iran is able to give up significant enrichment capacity at this stage when it comes to their nuclear program, which has been at the center of all of this?
So it really depends on how much, of an emotional attachment, if you will, or national pride case they want to put on this issue of enrichment, because there's no reason for Iran to insist on enriching uranium at this moment on their soil. No Iranian's going to go to bed hungry because Iran is not enriching. There's no evidence that their economy is going to suffer. The enriched uranium was always meant to be used, if you will, for purposes as leverage in diplomatic, standoff that they've had for now decades with the United States and many other countries in the West. So that has always been the sort of really the main reason. Use it as leverage, not because it has a material importance inside of Iran. Let me give you an example. The one Iranian nuclear power plant that actually generates electricity is getting Russian uranium, Russian fuel. It's not getting fuel from the Iranian enrichment cycle. So Iran could park this issue for now. I don't think they're going to give it up forever, because they consider that to be a case of their sovereignty, if you will. They're insisting on that. Even a few hours ago, I saw a foreign ministry official saying Iran will not be the only country singled out, not having the right to enrich uranium. That's how they look at it. But look, right now, it's a perfect opportunity for Iran to say it's willing to make compromises on this issue, because the alternative could be so much worse in terms of a resumption of war with the United States that already, according to Iranian sources, has cost them the same amount as 57% of the entire GDP, or the size of their economy. So a lot at stake here. They could be flexible on this issue of enrichment for their own sake.
I just feel like we're going to be in a situation where they're going to constantly be going back and forth. That's literally what it's going to be. We're going to be constantly going back and forth for a while. But the thing is Trump actually going and saying we are going to now board Iranian vessels, Iranian oil tankers during this situation isn't making the situation any better. In fact, it's making the situation even worse. You see what I'm saying? We're not in a place right now where we should be seeing, I don't see us getting closer to a situation where it's going to be like everything's going to be A-okay and everything's going to be fine. We're going to be finding that happy medium, and everything's going to be Gucci. I just don't see it right now. I don't. But maybe we will. I don't know. I just don't. I honestly do not see it. Hold on, guys. I had a few things and they got kind of shut down. So I'm just pulling this up real quick. Yeah, I just don't see anything good.
But he's now taking questions, and of course, this is interesting in light of what's happened in the Strait of Hormuz, reportedly closed by Iranian authorities. So we'll listen in to see if we get some comment out of the president.
They got used to it. Maybe they'll keep doing it. It's worked out pretty good. But it's going actually along very well. And we'll see. But we'll have some information by the end of the day. We're talking to them. And, we're taking a tough stand. They've killed a lot of people. A lot of our people have been killed. A lot of your fellow soldiers have been killed over the years by Iran. The roadside bomb. Soleimani, I killed Soleimani.
Thank you for that. He was making the explosive form penetrators. They were making them in Iran, bringing them to Iraq and blasting through the vehicles.
Well, he was the father of the roadside bomb, essentially, and he killed a lot of people. And when you see soldiers or others, but soldiers generally walking around with no legs, with no arms, a face that's been smashed, that was Soleimani, that was Iran that did that. So we have a much different view on it than other presidents. They've gotten away with murder for 47 years. They're not getting away with it anymore. Does anybody have any questions with the great professionals, please?
So I wanted to know, could this potentially ever be available through the VA? Because I was talking to Wiz over here, you guys went down to Mexico together, but it's really expensive. And this is another drug that's expensive.
We have the right guy, Oz. Let's go.
A lot of veterans need this.
Why are you good for this question? They're talking about expense and availability.
So I spoke to Doug Collins. Obviously, both he obviously pays for the VA, and we pay for Medicare, Medicaid, children's health insurance. Are very focused on the results that the NIH and FDA are going to offer us. We have a mechanism of creating models, CMMI. That might be the wise way to go because we can continue to study the impact. It is just such a massive shift in how you deliver care. Imagine instead of taking a pill a day for your depression, you go through one treatment, but you have to have few people watching you. It's a very different world. So we're working that through. That's why the president, who I think this is the perfect step to get everything rolling, to deliver on the promise he made.
What's timing would you say on that, before you know?
We could have a CMMI model that we would announce by the end of this year. But the reason I'm not committing to that now is I want to make sure that the FDA and NIH have time, along with the great scientists, to give us a bit more information about how to deliver care. I'll give you one concrete example. For things like, Ibogaine is a little different story, but you would want two people in the room during the treatment. That's true for many of these approaches. That's a very different way of delivering medicine. And so the models that Abe Sutton runs that group for us and has done a great job for the president, that would be probably the fastest way of moving forward and give the VA data so they can make wiser decisions, because Doug Collins is very focused on this.
There's one thing I'd add. There's nothing more expensive right now than the mental health crisis in America. 21% of Americans have a diagnosable mental health condition. The second leading cause of death for young adults today is suicide. Mr. President, antidepressants right now are the most prescribed class of medication. Now,
this obviously, this is something that he wrote into action right now, which is using psychedelics. I'm trying to get more information about it, but he signed an executive order for psychedelic treatment. But of course, I'm gonna look into that a little bit more. But that's literally what is going on. But hold on. I am trying to get this thing. Hold on. So again, this is kind of like a hybrid clip, but
in the country, over 20% of women are on an antidepressant.
And is that good in terms of do they work?
There's highly problematic research on the fact that over 20% of U.S. women are on these drugs that are prescribed for life. We have a mental health crisis. And
do they work?
No. They don't. Maybe I'm on a couple of them. And
I would not have. I would not have.
again, so President Trump today signed an executive order aimed at encouraging expanded research into psychedelic drugs, part of a broader push to explore emerging mental health treatments. So in many cases, these experimental treatments have shown life-changing potential for those suffering from several severe mental health issues or mental illness and depression, including our cherished veterans. This is what he said during a signing event in the Oval Office. The president also announced that the federal government is making a $50 million investment for further research into the psychedelic drug ibogaine. I don't know. I've never heard of that word before, but there it is. Ibo or ibogaine. All right. Acetaminophen. Okay. But moving on, Trump, ahead of the signing order, pointed to initial research he said demonstrates the drug's potential and quipped that he wanted some himself. He said, "Can I have some, please? I'll take some." That's literally what he said. Just reading this off screen, but he literally said this. And Joe Rogan is in the behind him. So if you see the screen right there, behind him in the black shirt is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's in the back, all for this. Of course he's for this. I mean, you know, he's definitely for this kind of stuff. Okay, but he literally said, "Can I have?" Trump said this. "Can I have some, please? I'll take some." Trump said, adding that he would, quote unquote, take whatever it takes, prompting laughter in the Oval Office. I don't have time to be depressed. You know, if you stay busy enough, maybe that works too. That's what I do. So he just stays busy. That's what he does. Hold on. And I know some of y'all are like, what's ibogaine? And no, it's not Rogaine. Okay. What is it? Ibogaine is a psychoactive compound derived from the African shrub Tabernath iboga shrub. Okay, it derives from an African Tabernath iboga shrub, used primarily as an experimental, often underground treatment to quote unquote interrupt addiction to opioids, that yayo, that snow, and alcohol by reducing withdrawal and cravings. It is known for inducing intense, dreamlike hallucinations and is studied for treating PTSD and TBI. Interesting. So it is known as an addiction interrupter. Okay. So it is used to alleviate withdrawal symptoms and cravings for those substances I just talked about just a second ago. It was just a second ago, right? So that oxy, that yayo, okay, and that liquor, all right? So that's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Just so you know, that was a little bit of a left turn, but I know some people are wondering what this, what this event is all about and why he was, having Joe Rogan there in the first doggone place. Yeah. And Joe Rogan definitely is a strong cheerleader for this type of treatment, right? In fact, I think he says, it's helped him a lot, using psychedelics, have helped him quite a bit as far as going through certain things like mental health issues, depression, and whatnot. So again, very interesting, because what's also interesting about Joe Rogan is just 5 seconds ago, he's talking trash about Trump. Basically saying like, I'm not so much MAGA anymore, that type of thing. Trying to distance himself from the situation. And lo and behold, he's here, So I know a lot of people that follow Joe Rogan are sitting here going like, what the F are you doing here, bro? Like 1 second you're here, but then next minute you're here. What the hell? Right? Hold on. Crafting Miss Aka just said, what? No, Pascal, I'm offended by this man in a level that is through the sky by now. Wow. So I am ADHD. I have chronic depression, chronic bone pain due to hyper mobility, fibromyalgia, you name it, no cure. That I'm sorry you're going through that. Now, I don't know the benefits of, psychedelic treatment or not. I've never done any psychedelics in my life or anything of that sort, but I hear a lot of benefits for it. So maybe there is a cure in some sort of way by using psychedelics. I don't know. I've never done it before. Stuff is too scary to me. All that stuff is too scary to me. You know what I mean? But again, we'll see what they say as far as treatment. And again, you never know. It might be something where, maybe they're able to tailor it in a way, so for people who need it, they're able to do a proper dose that doesn't take them over the edge before it gets too extreme, etc. You know what I mean? I think that's one of the other things too. I hear a lot of people saying like they take something and it's like, oh my God, you took the whole thing. You see what I'm saying? When you talk about those edibles and stuff, it's like, I ate the cookie, I ate the whole cookie. In fact, I didn't feel anything, so I ate the other cookie. Wait, you ate the whole you ate both of them? You know what I mean? So again, maybe it is going to be something that they're able to figure out, right? All these things are on this planet to a certain extent for a specific reason. I just think that a lot of people are using things in the wrong ways, just to get high, just to have fun, just to party, right? I think, certain things are on this planet like that plant that grows from the ground that was made by Mother Nature. I truly believe it was created and discovered by man for a reason, I truly think that. The chemical induced things that are made by man. Come on now, y'all. Stay as far away from that crap as you can. Let's be real. Think about it for a second. Things that grow from the ground, that's from Mother Nature. That's what the earth is giving us. The earth is giving us certain medicines. Now I'm sounding like some vegan herbalist or something like that. You know what I mean? But I'm being real, Let's be real. There's certain things that grow from the ground that are made, that were put on this planet for us to heal ourselves or, that kind of thing. It's just like the same thing when we eat good food, not processed crap, which don't get me wrong, processed crap is delicious, but the stuff that really is grown from the ground or is, straight from the farm to the table type thing, right? There's something about it. It's a lot more, it's healthier, it's better for you, so on and so forth. And I truly think that there are things out here in our world, on our planet, that are created specifically, they're here for us. It doesn't have to be all this super processed crap. And remember, there's also things like this too, where, like I said, things that are grown from the ground, things that are natural, things that are not being passed through a bunch of things and then put into that are chopped up and made into something else for someone to consume. Majority of the time, those are the things that you want to avoid, right? And that is on the whole scale of just consumption of everything. Food and recreational. You see what I'm saying? Let's be real. Oh, P. Cooper, that's very sweet. That's sweet of you to say. You're my only medicine and you help me. Oh, thank you. Wow, that means a lot. That means a lot. Thank you. But seriously, that means that got me. Thank you. But there are things that, like I said, things that come into this world that are grown, come from the ground, from ground to table, for lack of a better term. Fantastic. But the other stuff where it has to be processed, chopped up, stirred up, you see what I'm saying? You get what I'm talking about. That recreational stuff. And they're adding other chemicals on top of that. And then you're consuming. That's not good for you, baby. Don't touch that stuff. If it has to be passed through many hands and it has to go through a super process for you to consume it so you can have a great time, you get what I'm saying? Don't do it. Don't even touch that stuff. Don't waste your time, baby, because that's bad stuff. That's bad. You see what I'm saying? It's bad. That's why I always, side eye them. Yeah, like some of y'all are sitting there going, this is why I never take pills and stuff like that. That's why I side eye them pills. And don't get me wrong, some of those pills that were made by man, some of those things are helpful. And you got to do what you got to do. You see what I'm saying? You got to take certain things because they help you. But there are other things out there that you could use as a substitute than that actual pill. You see what I'm saying? Please tell me, put a number 1 in the chat if you're picking up what I'm putting down, y'all. Now, I'm not sitting here saying, like, listen, I'm not some granola dude, walking around with dreads, smelling like body odor because I don't put on deodorant or nothing. I'm a regular ass dude just like any other person. But I also know that there are certain things that just aren't, just some things just ain't, they just don't work for you. And sometimes you just got to go the holistic route. And it may be, okay, you got to add this little spice or you got to add a little this, that, and the third into your food. And but that could literally be the thing that helps your problem. And then you don't have to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on pills from the pharmacist. You see what I'm saying? And a little bit of that kind of stuff goes a long way. You see what I'm saying? So, I digress. But I do think that if there's a way to go the holistic route, and if it means that you have to take a certain thing, and add it into your diet every day, if I had to just consume a drink, right, just one drink every day, and it means that I'm going to be okay, and it keeps the cancers and keeps all the nasty stuff, the diabetes and the Alzheimer's and the dementias and all that stuff away, I would drink the hell out of that thing. In fact, I'd be growing those plants in my backyard. You understand? I'd do everything I could. Yeah, Trey, you funny, but you ain't wrong, baby. You funny, but you ain't wrong, baby. Okay? Stop taking them blue pills, baby. Stop, fellas. Man, y'all need to holler at your boy. If you need something, I got some. And it's called juice. Literally, it's called fruit. I'm not kidding. It's called fruit, y'all. Come on now. Oh, Trey was serious. Oh, damn. I'm sorry. Sheesh, I'm sorry. My bad. Sheesh. Thank you for your donation. Thank you for your donation. But I'm being real. And it's for the ladies too. It gets all the things, all the blood flow going. And it's more than just, you know what I mean? It's more than just that. But I'm telling you, it's just juice, baby. It's simple. It's just juicing, and that's it. That's it. Okay? Sorry for the left turn. We're moving back over into the conversation, but all you got to do is that tiny bit. Just a little bit of that whatever, the you put that fruit into your your meal for the day or something like that. That stuff will be amazing. And then you'll see it come out of your body. You'll see it on your skin. You'll see it like it's amazing. It's amazing what you can do with just a few little things. And you add those things into your diet. All of a sudden you're going, I don't need these pills anymore. I'm good. I don't need those pills anymore. I'm good. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot. You just look those things up. You could put these things in a blender, right? Strain out the pulp and drink it. Consume it every day. Okay? I'm telling you right now. And that's not me being like, I don't wear deodorant and I don't use all these things because they have aluminum. It's bad for you. No. I'm a regular ass dude. I'm a regular dude. Okay, but I do some research. I just look some things up and I'm like, oh, that looks kind of good. Let me try it. And then next thing you know, boom, you're like, wow, I feel amazing. I'm sharper than I've ever been. My skin looks great. I feel good. You know what I'm saying? It's all that. Okay? So there's so much that you could do at home or from nature just by looking those things up and then just putting those into consumption. But again, like I said, if there's something that you have to take, pill-wise, in a pill form, then you have to take it. You know? I understand that. Okay? But again, look into it. You'll thank me later. It's as simple as fruit. Or it's as simple as making sure that your plate, this is something that I do for myself in my mind, you know, maybe because just me being the creative person that I am, I really rock with a colorful plate. I talked to you guys about this before. You know, if your plate is nice and colorful with different colors and everything, and it's all natural food, not just like, I'm not talking about like Cheetos and I don't know, other things, you know, like a ding dong and Tootsie Rolls or, you know, or Twizzlers. No, I'm not talking about that. Okay. Use your head. Colorful plates with a good protein. And that's it. That's it. And fellas, learn how to cook. If you don't know how to cook, then you definitely don't know how to fill. You know what I'm saying? Fellas, learn how to cook. You'll thank me later. You'll save so much money. Learn how to cook, guys. Learn how to mother, love, and cook. Anyway, I digress. Let us continue. Let's see this here real quick.
President Trump reacting to Iran saying it closed the Strait of Hormuz again, just hours after President Trump said it was completely open. Listen in.
Got a little cute, as they have been doing for 47 years, and nobody ever took them on.
So they got, he says they got a little cute. Like, this is not cute. Again, if things go to crap, we're screwed. If he goes and he does what he says he's going to do, we're about to be in a heap of mother loving trouble. Okay? I just want to make that abundantly clear. Also, here really quick, guys, do me a solid. Hit that like button down below, please. That would be amazing. Okay? That would be amazing. Okay? That would really mean the world to me. Can we get it to like 800 likes? It helps the show. It helps us continue growing and all that. And also, please, okay, hit that subscribe button. Do not forget to subscribe. All right? But apparently, you know, Iran got a little cute. They got a little cute. So let's see what he's talking about now.
Took them on. They wanted to close up the strait again, you know, as they've been doing for years.
And all of this coming after a tanker reportedly came under fire from Iranian gunboats while traveling through the strait. According to the British military that monitors maritime traffic, it's the second incident that has happened in that critical waterway. And ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang is following this story from Washington. Selena.
And Gio, this only adds to the confusion about the status of the Strait of Hormuz. Just yesterday, Iran announced it's completely open, but now Iran says it's back under its strict control until the U.S. ends its blockade on Iranian ships. But Trump has said that blockade stays in place until a deal is reached. This comes as President Trump also warns that if a deal is not reached by the end of the U.S.-Iran ceasefire, which expires in just 4 days, the bombs could start dropping again. President Trump is also claiming that Iran has agreed to give up their enriched uranium and work with the U.S. to bring the material back to the United States. But Tehran flatly rejects that, saying Iran's enriched uranium is not going to be transferred anywhere under any circumstances. The Strait of Hormuz is this critical passageway where normally 1/5 of the world's oil flows through, but it's been closed for weeks, sending oil prices surging. After these announcements, the situation is unclear. Late last night, President Trump said negotiations will be happening over the weekend, but even if a deal gets done quickly, economists warn it could take months for gas prices to come down to where they were before the war began. Gio.
I mean, we're nothing's going to change as quickly as we'd like it to change, especially if it keeps going hot and cold like this. Right? We keep on seeing this tennis match, you know, the tennis ball's in their court and then they hit it and gets back into our court. And then it just keeps on going back and forth like this. And it never ends. It never stops. And, you know, it's going to take, like I said before, it's going to take some serious change for us to actually see a difference in this particular situation. Again, it doesn't make the situation any better as well when you have something like Trump saying we're going to go and start boarding ships and start seizing these boats that are Iran or Iran affiliated vessels as well. So in other words, Trump now is going, okay, you're going to mess with them. We're going to mess with your money too. You see what I'm saying? So, and Rebecca says gas prices will drop right before midterms. Well, here's the thing. If that does actually happen, I would be surprised. But again, right now, we're still waiting on things to happen, right? But like I said, a move like what Trump is saying he's going to do right now, I don't think is going to make the situation any better. It's just going to make things worse. But then now it's messing up and it's jacking up the economy again. I'm sure oil prices are about to go back up again, or the market's going to crash again. I mean, I don't know. You see what I'm saying? So this is not starting to look like it's going to be a solid and good turnout. But let's see what happens, right? Let's see what actually happens. Because, for a fact, all of us are sitting at the edge of our seat waiting to see if something is going to, if something's going to give, right? Hold on one second. Just checking some things here. Oh boy. Yeah, then people are going in on about the Pope still. Hold on. Sean Hannity, which is we just got to see this. We got to see this because this is just absolutely crazy. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this, but this is just a quick thing, okay? You know how Trump went after and he went ballistic on the Pope just a few days ago, right? Because the Pope basically said we should be looking at peace. He's not for this war that's going on. And Trump's like, well, no one should have nukes. Iran should not have nukes. He should stick his nose in his own business and stick, not get in the business of politics, right? Remember all that? Going off on the Pope of all people. And then he posted that video or that photo of him as Jesus. Who I guess he thinks he's Dr. Jesus. I don't know, because he said, oh, I thought it was a doctor that was healing people. And, we're doing a lot of great things. We're healing a lot of people. That's what we're doing. We're healing a lot of people, right? Said all that crap. Now, there are other people that were crazy enough to get onto the side in defense of Trump, which is insane to me. You realize, we're in this world right now where I'm like, you cannot sit here and tell me that him going off on the Pope and then posting a blasphemous photo isn't a little insane in the membrane. You can't tell me that that's not you can't tell me that that's normal or that's okay. But there are people within Congress that have been, one of them got caught walking up stairs going into some building on the Hill, and they're like, what are your thoughts on all this thing? And this guy's literally smoking a fat ass cigar as he's walking into one of the buildings on the Hill, and he says the Pope should stick to his own business and get his nose out of our business. The Pope should mind his own business and worry about God and religion and not stick his nose in politics. This is what one of the guys said. All right. Now in enters Sean Hannity. And Sean Hannity is now saying, well, if this is the video, I think this is, you need to hear this for your doggone self. Now, I don't play Sean Hannity very often, not never, actually. I mean, the last time I had Sean Hannity on here was, I don't know, something completely different. But we got to see this because this is insane. All right? The cultish mentality that we've been seeing within MAGA as of recently. Okay? Even in the first term, it was pretty bad. But this is insane. This guy right here, well, let her rip.
I do want to shift gears with a message to the Vatican tonight, specifically to Pope Leo, who has openly condemned America's war in Iran while seemingly enjoying a public fight with President Trump. First, let me give some context. Like millions of Americans, I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school for 12 years. I even attended a seminary in high school, studied theology, Latin, went to Mass daily.
So he wanted to become a priest. He thought about becoming a priest. And just like this frozen freeze frame right now, he said, maybe not. And now he has a show on Fox. Just want to make that abundantly clear. He even thought about becoming a priest himself, dedicating his life to God. You're about to hear something insane here. Get ready. Hold on to your butts.
I got a lot out of it. My parents, they were devout Catholics. And while I wasn't particularly engaged at the time in the teachings of the Catholic Church, as a young person, it certainly entered my consciousness and made me a better person. And it has been a positive force in my life in so many ways.
Really?
But as of today, I no longer consider myself a Catholic. And while I am a Christian, I left the Catholic Church in large part because of institutionalized corruption, and it was at the parish level, to the bishop level, cardinals, all the way to Rome. And, you know, the very top scandals, terrible behavior, frankly, went not only unchecked, but they never fully corrected it or dealt with it. And others at the Vatican have totally lost sight of the true meaning of the Bible and its teachings. I don't know why, for the first 1,200 years of the church, priests were allowed to marry. They changed that law. But right on cue, Pope Leo XIV is now seemingly more interested in spreading left-wing politics than the actual teachings of Jesus Christ. As the AP put it, quote, Pope Leo amplified his condemnation of America's conflict with Iran, saying that God does not bless any conflict and certainly doesn't side with those who drop bombs. Well, first, that is simply not biblically accurate. The Bible contains over 400 references to war, frequently depicting God as authorizing, commanding, intervening in battles like one that we all know, the battle between David and Goliath. Why is the Pope twisting religion to specifically attack only President Trump and the U.S.? Why did he recently meet with top Obama advisor David Axelrod and the far-left governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker? Is it because he's a run-of-the-mill Trump-hating Democrat that lacks moral clarity about radical Islam? By the way, did he talk to them about abortion? Well, in that case, you know, where are the pointed words for Iran, this evil regime, the #1 state sponsor of terror?
Can I just pause this really quick? One thing I want to make abundantly clear. What he talked about, the David Goliath situation, that all had to do with the Old Testament, first and foremost. And I've already talked to you guys about this. You know, in the Old Testament, it was a different God. It was most definitely a different God. I mean, the only way I can explain it is that, First Testament, God was an angry dude. You know, he had some anger issues, or they had some anger issues. And then in the New Testament, it was a whole new God. You know, he found just like Diddy, you know, he found sobriety, he found himself, and he found therapy too. You see what I'm saying? Totally different dude totally different them than the Old Testament, right? Old Testament, he was wrathy, for lack of a better term, right? Or they were wrathy, okay? God was wrathy as hell. That's the only way I could explain it, but wrathy. You see what I'm saying? The New Testament, totally different God. Totally different them. So, I get it. You can go back to the Old Testament and go, damn, they did that? Word? Oh my Lord. They turned who into pillars of salt? Word? Oh my word? He made who sacrifice a human for him? Word? There are crazy stuff in the Old Testament. wrathy, and violent as hell. But then the New Testament different. Like I said, he found his little hippie, God is love, Jesus, and said we must think different, and he will sacrifice his life for all the sins of the people of the world. He will save humanity by his own sacrifice, right? For lack of a better term. Totally different God in the New Testament. Now, if Sean Hannity is, or at least was, a devout Catholic or a devout Christian, he would know this. Old Testament, God was different. Yeah, he different. Or they different. New Testament, whole other God. So again, you got the Pope basically saying, hey, God does not look and smile upon the violence that are going on in the world. And I think he was making a blanketed statement basically saying we should not be starting wars, regardless if Iran started the war or America started the war or even Israel started the war. It doesn't matter. We should be trying to find peace on this planet and coexist as human beings on this planet as one. That's it. But for some weird reason, as soon as Trump goes off on innocent Pope Leo, suddenly MAGA now is turning. This is, he's a face of MAGA. Come on now. Suddenly face of MAGA goes, I am walking away from the Catholic Church. I'm done, you say. I say I am done. I am done. Good day, sir. I bid you good day. I bid you good day. Goodbye, Catholicism. No more am I a Catholic because of what you said, sir. I bid you good day. That's insane. Do you understand that? That what? Jesus, or that Trump is the second coming of Christ? Let me let you know, just so you know, in case you're about to go, but yeah, he's not. He's not. He's human. He's human. So again, come on, y'all. Yes, he's just a man. He's just a man, baby. And yet you got people like Sean Hannity willing to throw away he's willing to lose his own religion for Trump.
The people that murdered 45,000 innocent protesters, not a peep from Pope Leo. Iran is now set to, literally have 4 more protesters and hang them and kill them, including a woman. Nothing from Pope Leo. Iran oppresses women. Nothing from Pope Leo. Tortures them, rapes them, kills them. Nothing from the Pope. Iran backs terrorists in Iraq and Beirut who have killed Americans for decades. Nothing from Pope Leo. Iran drops bombs on holy sites and neighborhoods all over Israel, densely populated areas like Tel Aviv, and Pope Leo is not bothered to call them out by name. And while the Pope condemns all nuclear weapons, especially on the anniversary of Hiroshima, I don't think we had a choice. Same with Nagasaki. It did end a war, did save a lot of American lives. He doesn't seem interested in ever referencing Iran's unrelenting pursuit of them. And I have a question for the Pope. Is it the right or wrong thing to prevent radical mullahs in Iran, again, the #1 state sponsor of terror, from ever having nuclear weapons? Today, President Trump raised this very important question. Take a look.
Well, I want him to preach the gospel. I'm all about the gospel. But I also know that you cannot let a certain country, which is a very mean-spirited country, have a nuclear weapon. If they did, they would use it.
The president is correct. The Pope is wrong on so many levels. Perhaps Leo's judgment is clouded. After all, he has an old Twitter account. And by the way, it is riddled with anti-Trump messages, including posts accusing Donald Trump of fueling racism and nativism, and other posts pushing for climate change and open borders. Ultimately, preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon is both moral and logical, and it could save potentially millions of lives. And we won't burden our children and grandchildren with a nuclear-armed terrorist state. Now, sadly, the same cannot be said for the leadership today of the Catholic Church.
Yeah. So now, because he may not be the biggest fan of Trump, now it is turned into this is just all of the Catholic Church. This is the Catholicism. Come on. This is all of Catholicism. No, it's not. Okay. The Pope, just so you know, all popes are human as well. And they are allowed to have their own opinions as well. Last I checked, they're allowed to be human. They're allowed to have their opinions about things that are going on in the world. Are they not? I don't think that that's such a wild revelation. Is it? The Pope is obviously allowed to have his own opinions, to agree or disagree or whatever. He's allowed to be human. Yes, he is the face and he is the icon and the major voice for the Catholic Church within the branch of Catholicism. But that still doesn't mean that he isn't allowed to have his own opinions. And maybe he doesn't agree with this war. You also got to remember, there's been questions, I'm sure, that question was asked to him at a time when we're in the middle of that freaking war. And I also say this too. How often is he getting asked a question about what's going on in any wars that are going on in the world? So if somebody is coming up to him going, what are your thoughts on the Vietnam War? For example, you don't think he's going to answer about that specific question in his own opinion, based on his faith and based on what he believes in? So, and I guarantee you, if the question wasn't about the war in the Middle East, and if it was like a question about cookies or ice cream, he's still going to answer the question. Does that automatically mean like, well, what about brownies? You have a problem with brownies, Pope? Hey, Monsignor, you got a problem with Twinkies? Why didn't you mention Twizzlers? They're delicious. Why didn't you just mention those too? How about soda? You like soda? You like carbonated drinks? Why aren't you mentioning any of those? He was asked a question about the war with Iran, so he answered that question. Do you understand? But you got the likes of Sean Hannity basically saying, I am denouncing Catholicism. I'm walking away from the Catholic Church because of what he said about Trump and this war in Iran. I mean, you can't make it up. You can't make that up. That is really happening. That just happened in real time. Like I said, some culty ass BS indeed, Steph. To me, it makes no sense. And this is what's so sad about the world that we live in. And this is on both sides of the political aisle, that people aren't allowed to think for themselves. They're really not. And what's even more insane is that, you know, when it comes to the political aisle, when it comes to MAGA, because people are trying so much to see the world through rose-colored glasses, even though those rose-colored glasses keep getting ripped off their face, Trump keeps on picking them back up, going, and putting them right back on their faces again and being like, see, everything's fine. Listen to my voice and what I say on my Truth Social posts. That is the truth. And then all of a sudden, everybody and their mama believes that. as truth when it's not true at all. We've seen it countless times, guys. But the people who are so hell-bent on he can't be wrong will hold on to every syllable that comes out of his mouth, every single letter that he types on social media, and then they'll try to spin it in a way so the people who are the naysayers or the people who are looking at the truth, they try to make those individuals look like they're absolutely insane. Oh, there's a term for that. It's called gaslighting. It makes no sense to me, guys. It makes no sense. And yeah, I don't think Trump is very much a Christian at all. I think it's all for the brand. It's all for his political gain. It's what they wanted to create for the realm of MAGA. And if you notice, some of these mother lovers that are all up on MAGA, what do you think? You think that they're all Christian, devout Christians? No, they started becoming devout Christians because it looked good for them to be a part of that brand. Part of that MAGA brand. Come on, guys, let's be real. Let me just ask you this something, okay? Is it very Christian to give somebody an angry handy J in the middle of a Broadway show? Is it very Christian to be having allegations in relations with underage, with littles? Okay. Is that also Christian at all? Is it Christian to steal $220 million from American taxpayers? Is that even Christian? Yeah, I'm a nurse. I was just about to say that. Is it very Christian to go out here and put your hand in somebody else's cookie jar when you straight up got married under God? Listen, we can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about this. We could go on and on about this, but at the same time, it's very crazy that those that live in glass houses will throw those stones. All that I just said is real. All that I said is real. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of the BS that we've seen as of late. Meow. We got to get into this conversation. We have got to talk about Kash Patel. Is it very Christian of you to be just white boy wasted every day? So much that you can't even do your civil duty? Okay, I'm done with the dun, but you get what I'm saying. Okay? We got plenty of hypocrites. Hypocrites. Plenty of hypocrites. I don't know why that sounded like Melania. Okay, but... we got and ruining my good name. Too many hypocrites trying to destroy my good name. Crazy. But we definitely have got to talk about Kash Patel. Now, I just did a short about this. Nobody really saw it. It's okay, though, because we're going to talk about it here. But do take a look at it if you want a quick laugh. But we're going to be laughing here, too. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Okay, I don't mean that. I mean that in a good way, because I feel like that, with the situation that we're living in right now, all you can do is laugh to stop from crying. And I think that's the situation that we're seeing in real time. We have the wrong people in office. I'm going to say that right now. I'm going to say it again. We have the wrong people in office. And no, I'm not talking about, some of y'all are going to be like, what are you talking about, Kamala? No. Hold on. Chill out. I'm not even talking about Kamala. I'm not even talking about Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. I'm not even talking about her. What I'm talking about is the people that have been elected into or chosen into these positions of power that were not properly vetted or could not handle the pressure to do the damn job. And that happens to be Kash Patel. Allegedly. Let me just say that. allegedly, he a bad apple. Well, here's the thing. Surprise, surprise. He's been a very bad apple. And here's the other thing. Now I am side-eyeing everything he has ever put his hands on. That's everything from, let's just say, because, he wasn't in office at this time, but we'll just sprinkle in a little bit of Butler, PA. We'll throw in a whole cup of the Charlie Kirk situation. We'll even throw in the Epstein files as well. Okay. And what else recently just happened that we all are still side-eyeing the hell out of? Basically every high-profile case that we've been dealing with. Because now I'm wondering, before we get into this, now I'm wondering how inebriated was he when he put out the social media post basically saying, we got our guy. We got our guy. The bad guy who took out Charlie Kirk. We got our guy. When in actuality, it wasn't true. They had the wrong dude. In fact, they mucked that up twice. Remember? One dude said, I did it, and it wasn't the guy. Remember him? And then you had the other guy walking down the street with an airsoft rifle in plain sight. He got arrested. He got detained, right? But that wasn't him either, right? Remember all that crap? And that's just the tip of the iceberg in this situation. Charlie Kirk case. Come on. I'm side-eyeing the hell out of that situation, if you ask me. Even the text messages that we saw between Tyler Robinson and his furry Lavelle, okay, talking about my love and everything. Very chat GPT, if you ask me, but it was very strange, right? That whole investigation, very weird. There's been plenty of things that Kash Patel has been involved in as the director of the FBI. Then now even more, we should all be side-eyeing and we should all be asking questions because of what we've been hearing about in these reports, and it's insane. He is more Pete Hegseth than Pete mother-loving Hegseth. Do you understand that? He's more Pete Hegseth than Pete Hegseth. Let's take a look at this, shall we? You can't make this up. Allegations, okay? He has called these allegations false reporting, and he said he'll sue the Atlantic reporter for publishing this article, which is crazy, right? Oh yeah. General Genobi, no, this is not, that's my man time. Hell to no. Hell to no, not this one. Everyone will have to sit down with that's my man talk, okay? Because that's not the time. It's definitely, that's for damn sure not the time. No, and it's for damn sure not the place, okay? No one claiming him right now, even his girl, okay? Even his boo thing is like, nah, I'm sure. She's probably writing a song about this. You drink too much. You know what I mean? It has to be about drinking from that solo cup. You know what I mean? And then you got to throw in some Texas or Nashville in the lyrics and say like your dog died and you lost your job and you tore my keys into the side of his four-wheel drive or something like that. You know what I'm saying? You know, because he's a country singer. Oh, and then you got to have the boots. Cause if it's not country music, if you don't have boots on, okay? And welcome to the family. Real Ella, thank you so much for the love. Thank you. Okay. You know what I mean? You drink too much, sipping out that solo cup. You know what I mean? Something stupid like that. Yeah, a denim shirt or skirt And it's like this, the beige frilly thingy, whatever, you know what I mean? With the boots and the hat and like maybe a bolo, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So she's writing a song right now. Okay. Moving on. FBI Director Kash Patel has threatened to sue over bombshell claims reported in a magazine profile that the Trump administration official is deeply paranoid about being fired and often drinks to excess, alarming officials at the law enforcement agency and beyond. The alleged conduct, which Patel has called false reporting, has left officials alarmed about what would happen if the FBI was needed in a national crisis such as a terror attack. That's what keeps me up at night, one unnamed official told The Atlantic, which published these particular claims Friday evening, and they're not great. The piece details a host of concerning incidents and allegations. On April 10th, which was not long ago, everybody, if you do the math, today is the 18th, and just 8 days ago, this happened. According to the magazine, the director flew into a paranoid freakout when faced with a technical issue with a computer system. What? Then reports claims Patel thought it was a sign that he was being fired, and he began calling aides and allies in a panic, in a full-on meltdown, wild-eyed, cockeyed panic. Word of the alleged meltdown reportedly spread quickly through Washington, D.C., and the White House got calls about who was really leading the FBI, according to The Atlantic. That's a fantastic look, don't you think? Moving on. The most explosive allegations in the article are regarding Patel's alleged excessive drinking. Yeah, he's more Pete Hegseth than Pete Hegseth. The official is known to drink to the point of obvious intoxication at clubs in Washington and his home city of Las Vegas, according to the piece, violating FBI conduct standards and potentially leaving the nation's top law enforcement official vulnerable to coercion or exploitation. Now, let me just say this really quick, okay? Let's just say this really quick. All right. You realize how bad this is, and remember who we're dealing with, who we've dealt with before. Do you remember we just dealt with a Kristi Noem situation, and we found out about cockeyed titties? We found out about cockeyed titties. Okay, Brian Noem with his balloon boobies, bimbofications, and all that, and her stealing $220 million while her husband's rubbing it out in the corner with a girl named Bambi, and her, with her filled with filler and silicone, where she could have been compromised, deeply compromised. Kristi Noem. Now you got another official that could have been compromised because he loved that drink. Okay? Love that drink. And there's nothing wrong with you having a drinks or two and blah, 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 and living your life like it's golden. But at the same time, let's keep it real. You have a responsibility to the country. In any given moment, he could have been so drunk that he was left vulnerable to getting taken even and forced to give very crucial and top secret information about the government. Think about all that. Not only just coercion or exploitation, he could have been attacked. He could have been taken. He is literally a sitting duck, y'all. You're at the clubs in Washington and people know that that's what you're doing in public. You're not even wasting, you're not even, even doing yourself the service of just getting wasted at home. No, you're doing it at clubs and all over the city of Las Vegas. And you don't think people are going to see that? This man needs to get fired as soon as possible. General Ginobili, thank you so much. Don't forget, Patel has used FBI agents to be bodyguards for his girlfriend. Yes. And he used jets as well. Okay. And FBI vehicles to drive her around in security. taxpayer dime. Yes, indeed. Ain't that a little nuck and futz? Let's be real. Okay? Can't make this up, right? Oh yeah, thank you so much. I'm watching Candy O podcast lately. It's making sense. Well, you know, broken clock can be right 2 times a day, baby. Okay? And she might be on to something now, but again, like I said, I just feel like Candy O, she likes to throw ish on the wall. Some things stick and some things don't. Maybe things are sticking now. You feel me? But moving on. Very, very bad. So he's publicly wasted. And he's not even wasting his time to go home and just get slammered at home. Okay? Moving on. Early in his time leading the Bureau, meetings had to be rescheduled to later in the day to accommodate his nighttime drinking, the reports claim. Let me just say this. You remember, he's just a podcaster. You realize that, right? Before he had this gig, he's a podcaster. Glorified podcaster. He got this gig. I don't know how he got this gig, but he got this gig. And now I think he can't handle the pressure. And so now he's leaning on the alcohol. Yeah. Sans Jamie Foxx, though. On multiple occasions, according to the outlet, Patel's security detail had trouble waking him because he was seemingly intoxicated, and at one point, a request went in for emergency breaching equipment normally used in SWAT raids and hostage situations. Let me make this abundantly clear so y'all can see this from the nosebleed seats. This mother lover was so drunk that they had to use battering rams to open up the door to wake his drunk ass up. He can't handle the pressure. Clearly, he can't handle the pressure. If all this stuff is true, and it sounds like it is true, it sounds like he can't handle the pressure. Patel has vowed to sue over the claims in this article, which he and the FBI say are all false. FBI officials and other Trump administration members have reportedly questioned whether alcohol factored in missteps by the director. Okay. Let's be real. Okay. Oh, yeah. Let's not forget that too, Genobi. Okay. Yeah, his email was hacked. His phone was hacked. They were able to pull up photos and all that. Some of the stuff that we saw wasn't super bad. It's just him like with a cigar or him standing next to a car in Cuba, blah, blah, blah. As far as like nothing like, S tapes or anything. You know what I mean? We don't see no cockeyed titties, or silicone and filler with a girl named, I don't know, Cinnamon or anything. It's just all photos of him just, chilling, holding nieces and nephews and stuff, but, we'll see what else comes out, right? But the members have reportedly questioned whether the alcohol factored in his missteps by the director, including his claim shortly after the shooting of Charlie Kirk that a subject was in custody only for the individual to be released and a different suspect, Tyler Robinson, to ultimately be arrested, right? Then the director's drinking reportedly angered the president himself, who is sober, and whose brother died from alcoholism-related health issues. President Trump called Patel after the director was seen drinking or chugging beer at when the U.S. Hockey team won the gold, and he's up there drinking. He's pounding beers and go, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a great look. It's not the time to be doing something like that. I'm sorry. This is the time for you to be just boring as hell. There is no time for you to be out here, living the life like it's golden and going crazy like that. It's just not. Okay. You are an elected, you are an official. Okay. Act like it. Messi, thank you so much. I'm not defending Kash, but he was a public defender and a former Fed prosecutor. He was more than a podcaster. Oh, thank you. He's a disappointment. And what is that emoji? I'm assuming he's a disappointment and something allegedly. I don't know what that, a honeypot? Is that what you're trying to say? A honeypot allegedly? Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. And I stand corrected. My bad. But again, like I said, he still got the job. And sure, a Fed prosecutor and all that, but he should not have gotten the job. All of these individuals that got put into their spots, into these jobs, should not have had this job. I'm sorry. They were not properly vetted for these kinds of jobs. And I don't think he can handle this pressure. The Independent has contacted the White House for comment. Patel, as well as the FBI itself, has characterized the Atlantic's reporting as entirely false. And the FBI director has vowed to sue the magazine and reporter Sarah Fitzpatrick, the author of the article, as well. So he has suggested in a social media post that the article met the high legal bar to qualify as defamation. It says, see you and your entire entourage of false reporting in court. This is what he wrote on X. But do keep it. But do keep at it with the fake news. Mutual malice standard is now what some would call a legal layup. In his post, he attached an email from FBI communications official Benjamin Williamson to Fitzpatrick, which called the article completely false at a nearly 100% clip and alleged the FBI was only given about 2 hours to respond to the exposé's numerous claims. Erica Knight, an advisor to Patel, wrote on X that far from being an absentee leader, Patel has worked more days than his predecessors. Knight alleged that the magazine's reporting was based on claims that every real DC reporter chased, couldn't verify, and passed on. Interesting. Another person, Patel's attorney, called the article categorically false and defamatory. They said that on a post on X. The letter called the magazine's reportedly false magazine reportedly false and suggested it relied solely on vague, unattributed sourcing and did not allow enough time for the FBI to provide relevant information that would disprove its claims. The letter suggested that the claim about breaching equipment being requested in case it needed to reach Patel appeared to be based on quote unquote no corroborating public record or drawn from a single hostile and unreliable source. So they are saying that this thing is fake news. I will say, I believe that there is some truth to this whole thing. I believe that there is some serious truth to this. I just don't think that people will go out of their way. And that's the other thing too. Maybe Kash Patel needs to find out exactly who these people are that are saying these things, right? But at the same time, for this to come out like this is pretty insane, if you ask me. Now, what will come of this? He says he's going to sue. But I will say his acts and how he's been handling things since he walked into his position, into his job title, I just don't think he's been doing a great job. But I think a lot of the people that are working for MAGA and working underneath Trump are just a bunch of inexperienced liars. Inexperienced, sycophantic liars. I'll say it. I'll say it. I think a lot of those people just want to be where power is. They're trying everything they can to stay in that position of power, and they're willing to lie and come up with anything they can so that they can stay in that position, stay in that spot. And again, this is not good. This is a very, very bad look for him. And now, okay, two different things, which is really, really sad, because one thing that's really frustrating about this for him is that he can never go to a bar ever again without somebody actually side-eyeing him and going, yeah, why the hell are you here? Aren't you on duty? Like, aren't you on call all day, every day, 24/7? You're not supposed to be here. What are you doing in a club? Get your ass home. Keep your eye on what's going on with our country and protect our country, right? Even if this is a lie, now everybody's going to be side-eyeing him anytime he grabs a beer, anytime he shows up in a bar or a club or a place that's even just selling wine and beer. People are going to be watching him like a hawk now. And it's not something I don't think he wants to have happen, but unfortunately, it's going to happen. Okay. Don't forget the labor secretary is being investigated for drinking on the job, and a university 2E players as well. What's the 2E players? But that's interesting. I didn't know that, Janobi, about the labor secretary. That's very interesting too. Okay. So yeah, guys, I mean, again, what say you? Do you believe that? Do you not believe it? Do you think this is all fake news? I think that there's truth to it. I do. I think he's been doing a lot of things that he's not supposed to be doing on taxpayer dollar, on taxpayers' dime. And I think there's a lot of people that are doing all of that same thing. They're utilizing things, they're cutting corners, they're doing X, Y, and Z. And we've seen it before under other administrations, but we're just seeing it more prominent and seeing it more often with this administration. So we'll see what's going on, right? Oh yeah, I do have that. If I'm correct, you're talking about Jen Psaki?
Voice break on a
Jen Psaki, oi. Let's take a look.
Friday. And as I just mentioned with Chris, but in case you haven't seen it, there is some breaking news. This absolutely bonkers story that just posted tonight concerning...
I'm going to speed it up a little bit.
The clown car of people who make up Trump's cabinet. And I mean, this time it's really focused on FBI Director Kash Patel. And it's an explosive news story in The Atlantic that just posted. It cites dozens of FBI sources, which is a big deal. It's a lot of sources in this story detailing new allegations about Patel, including some sources who say Patel is frequently drunk on the job, regularly absent from work, and paranoid about getting fired. And there's quite an anecdote about that we're going to talk about. And I'm just going to read you.
We already know about it, so we're going to skip ahead to the interview. If I'm correct, this is Sarah Fitzpatrick that's getting interviewed by Jen Psaki.
Now is the reporter who broke that story, staff writer for The Atlantic, Sarah Fitzpatrick. First of all, Sarah, I'm so grateful you could be here because we saw this story and we reached out and we were like, can you come talk to us about it? And here you are. I want to talk to you about all the details of this bombshell report. I just skimmed the story, the surface there, I should say. But first, I just want to give you an opportunity to respond to this reaction to your piece, because Patel's advisor, Erica Knight, called your piece fabricated stories. She said that every serious D.C. reporter passed on. Sarah Fitzpatrick and Jeffrey Goldberg printed it anyway. Lawsuit is being filed. What do you say to that?
I say that I am a very careful, very diligent, award-winning investigative reporter with a history of award-winning work across multiple organizations. You and I, in fact, have worked together previously. I stand by every word of this reporting. We have excellent attorneys, and it is a surprising statement, but a very telling statement, I believe. And I would also note, we reached out for comment to the White House and to the Justice Department, neither of which disputed anything. We gave multiple opportunities, including 19 detailed questions. So we stand by every word. And look, this is telling, because there are so many people, you alluded to it earlier, these are not the types of people who are willing to speak out outside of the FBI, especially right now, because Kash Patel is going after people with polygraphs in a way that has never happened at the Bureau. So for it to be this level of alarm, this is people genuinely concerned that America is a danger as a result of this conduct. And I feel, a real responsibility to take care of that reporting incredibly carefully. And The Atlantic is nothing but diligent, and we have amazing lawyers and amazing editors, and I stand by every word.
I'm not surprised.
Here's the thing. So she's saying, I'm standing by every single word that I put out. This is not a lie. This is not fake news. This is not just some sort of fugazi. I'm not just putting this up for, ish and giggles. This is truly the truth. I ask you guys, what say you? I think that she found some information, got some information that is really bad and very damning for Kash Patel. And I think Kash Patel is willing to say anything in his power right now because he doesn't want to lose his gig. He doesn't want to lose his job. And Trump just fired 2 individuals, Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi. He's going to be firing more people in due time. Let's be real. Pete Hegseth, his job is still on the line as well. So, of course, he's going to do everything he can. He's doing everything he can to not get in trouble. So, of course, an article like this, not a good look. Because now everybody's looking at Trump and going, what's he going to do next? Now, Bellin, thank you so much for love. Cash looked way too comfortable downing the beers with the hockey team. So I'm leaning towards he has a drinking problem. Well, I will say this. Just because we see him, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here because I do think that he probably has some sort of drinking problem now. And I think it's because he can't handle the pressure of the job that he actually has. But with that being said, I think he is just because he's down in a beer does not automatically mean instantly, oh, he got a drinking problem. I mean, there's plenty of people that know how to guzzle a beer. Doesn't mean that they have a drinking problem. They just know how to guzzle a beer. You see what I'm saying? So I would just say, yeah, he's under pressure. And I think, I think he does drink, period. But yeah, down in the beard, not the greatest look because he was willing to do that on camera. That part I see. The fact that he was down in that beer like it was nothing. He flew all the way out there on taxpayer dollar just so he can guzzle a beer with the U.S. team, okay, is pretty insane to me. I think there's a time and place for everything, and he chose the wrong time to do all of that. Okay, with cameras rolling and everything. Very dumb. Genobi, Labor Secretary ordered her staff to buy her booze at work and perform household chores for her. That's insane. I didn't hear about that. The Labor Secretary, how funny. Do chores for me. Do labor for me, right? Still in her wheel. It's still in her job, though. It's still in her job title. But I digress, okay? They went to the IG and filed complaints. That's insane that is even true. Okay, but let's continue on.
In any way by their response. I will say, and you, as you said, you note, and I noted, 9 sources for the opening anecdote of the story as well. Let's get into some of the details about
9 sources, by the way. 9 whole sources to back up this article. 9 sources that were quoted in this article. Now, again, maybe some of those 9 sources are liars. Maybe salty that he has that job. Like I said, we're just playing both sides of the fence here. Anything's possible. But let's continue. I can only play a little bit more here, guys. So I'm going to do that real quick.
this because Patel's excessive drinking seems to be what is alarming a lot of the sources in here. There are multiple anecdotes that refer to that. That's understandable. They're moving meetings. People couldn't wake him. What more have you heard about the extent of his drinking habits and how it seems to be affecting his ability to serve as FBI director?
I think the key point is that this is happening in places in which it is public. There are lots and lots of people around who are seeing it, who are hearing about it, who are learning about it. For example, we have video of Patel chugging a beer to excess on video.
We've all seen it. Everybody's seen it. Yes.
And I think it speaks to, he was on official travel at that time.
That's the part that bothers me. On official travel, and yet he was pounding beers on camera with the hockey team. Don't get me wrong. Pounding beers later on when hanging out with the team later on is a different story. But you're on the taxpayer dime doing that all on camera. Not the greatest look.
ongoing threats in the United States at that time. So, it is a very, very clear pattern that has occurred in multiple locations over a long period of time. And it's that pattern which is giving everyone pause. These are not one-off events.
I just read this story, but we have to come back to it because the excerpt I just read, just to remind people, a request for breaching equipment normally used by SWAT and hostage rescue teams to quickly gain entry into buildings was made last year because Patel had been unreachable behind locked doors, according to multiple people familiar with this request. I find that, I've traveled with 2 presidents. I've worked in the government. I've worked in the State Department. Shocking. Really, people should feel shocked by that. This is not a 22-year-old who's irresponsible, who's on a trip and should be behaving better. This is the FBI director. Can you tell us more just about that scene or paint it for people who have not yet read your story?
I think the really most important thing here is that most national security officials at this caliber, and even several layers below, those types of people sleep with their phones on their chest. They are so concerned because they need to be reachable immediately because there are life or death decisions that have to be made quickly. There may be threats in which they need to be moved quickly. And so this timing aspect, the ability to reach that person quickly and make sure that they are responsive, I think this is a request that was not made lightly. And I think that's the fact that it was made and that it was well known, I think because of that level of concern, really tells you about, the kind of larger picture here. And look, the FBI is, you and I both know so many people that have given their lives to this organization. This is a place protecting.
Are still giving their lives, to be clear, still in there.
Yes, and the threats have never been higher. The risks have never been higher. And so you have a group of people that have totally, the biggest fear would be that something could happen to this person. And I think they take that responsibility incredibly seriously. But that goes beyond the entire organization. You have an organization that is dependent on this person being available, being cogent, and being able to quickly respond to multiple things all at the same time.
The opening anecdote of the story was incredibly striking for a number of reasons. Because you described this freak out in which Patel was intoxicated. He thinks he was locked out of an FBI.
No, to be clear, he was not in that case.
Thank you for correcting. It just broke some. I'm trying to remember all the details of it. Thank you for correcting me there. But he thought he was locked out of an FBI computer system. He grew incredibly paranoid, thought he was going to be fired. It turned out to be a technical issue. Talk about that level of paranoia, what that tells you, why it was important to kind of lead with that anecdote in the story.
The anecdote was just incredibly telling for a couple of reasons. One is that it set off such a panic within the FBI and within Washington. It set off a panic in Congress. The White House was fielding calls. There was a real lack of understanding about who was in charge at a given moment, which, as you know, as a former member of government, is an incredibly important who is in charge at a given moment. But I also
he straight up crashed out. He was crashing out, y'all. Dude lost his mother-loving mind because he was like, oh my God, I lost my job. I must be fired. Is that it? I must be fired. I must be fired. He forgot how to log into his own computer system, and he instantly thought that he was fired. So then he just started losing his marbles over it. So much, yes, Kash Patel, indeed, no doubt. But he crashed out so hard. He crashed out so hard that it caused a ripple effect throughout Washington, D.C. Because everyone was like, oh, my God, did he lose his job? Then who's running? Who's actually the director of the FBI now? You see what I'm saying? That's not a good look either. You're the director of the FBI and you don't even know how to get into your mother-loving computer? That is just... This dude's a mess. This dude's an absolute mess.
also thinks it speaks to character and impulsivity and the ability to be in a stressful situation and think about what those next steps are. And I think it is also emblematic of other occasions that we have seen that are very public, in which information has been shared by the FBI director, which was not yet, that went beyond what the investigation was ready to make public at that time, and that later had to be walked back. And in multiple cases that we have seen, all very publicly reported, the fact that this has impacted the investigation, this has impacted their ability to pursue people that were potentially mass shooters or other things of that nature. So I think it was a very telling anecdote, but it's not unusual for those that are familiar with his behavior and his temperament.
Erratic is not what you want in that job. They need stability, and that's what you need in that job.
But also remember that there's a bit of an irony here, which is that one of the major purposes within our legal system is that the FBI comes in often when you are in court and comes in and they are providing the information, swearing that it is fact under law. Like there's so much work that goes on into putting a fact into the public record in lawsuit. And so again, the jumping ahead of waiting for verification is just incredibly telling, because every other FBI employee if they were to make that same mistake, would be fired.
That's what they're taught through their whole careers, is to operate in that manner. Patel's been now in office for 14 months. He clearly is almost 14 months, trying to hold on to this job. Why do you think he's still there?
It's interesting. I think that he has at times, a very close relationship with the president. And the president views the Justice Department as a means to go after his perceived political enemies and punish them, either by harassment, expensive legal suits.
Yeah, these are literally these are his Rottweilers. Like the FBI, even ICE, These are his little soldiers. And it's like, hey, I got a huge problem. Dig, find anything you can about this guy, or find anything you can about this particular person. She doesn't like me, so let's make their lives a living hell. Let's do everything we can to make their time hard. Slap them with something. Slap them with something. Catch them with something. Yes, they're minions. Real talk. Minions all day long. Take them out, please. And, Patel's like, yes, sir. You never know. He also might be drinking because of guilt, too. What kind of guilt? I don't know.
By firing them from jobs, believing that there are deep state people within the national security and the justice system. So I think that Patel has been very willing to take those requests, those orders that come directly from the president, and use the resources of the FBI to direct them towards those kinds of personal projects of the president. And that's really, really important here, because you only have so many people, you only have so much time, and you have to decide as the FBI director, are you pulling people away from following a terrorist? Are you pulling people away from monitoring people who are abusing children? Are you pulling people away from other crimes that are really, really significant and have massive harm? And I spoke to so many officials who said to me, this is what I worry about at night. I cannot sleep at night because I'm worried that I may have pulled something away from somewhere and I've had to reorganize something, and people may be harmed as a result. And so I think that was the really sobering thing that stuck with me throughout this reporting that I would want every American watching to really think about, because we are at a moment of unprecedented threats. That is not an overstatement. We have unprecedented threats, and we have to make sure that our resources are used accordingly.
What's really concerned to me, like a big concern to me, is that you got, like what she just said, we are dealing with some very, very highly sensitive times right now, highly volatile, unprecedented times. With everything that's going on overseas, there's all kinds of evildoers all doing all kinds of planning, wanting to do X, Y, and Z. It is absolutely insane what we've been seeing as of late. And things could just bump up even more and become even more volatile in the near future, solely because people are starting to realize, if there's like some guy doing surveillance and keeping an eye on the likes of somebody like Kash Patel, unbeknownst to him, and they're like, okay, he likes to drink at this particular bar and close the place down, 4 days out of the week or whatever. Those kinds of things can be very, very detrimental and can be used in the enemy's favor to do some harm. And here's the other thing too, like she said, there are other officials, there are other people that work very, very big, important jobs that are literally having their phones resting on their chest because they don't want to miss anything, because everything is on high alert all the time. That's it. So you got Kash Patel, who should be on high alert until he's not the director of the FBI, not on high alert, self-medicating because of whatever anxiety he has, whatever issues he's got going on, and he's doing it publicly. People are seeing it in real time. Him just getting hammered, white boy wasted at bars and clubs in D.C. This isn't a situation where he's like out in Paris and enjoying his vacation, or he's in Miami, kicking it and having a great old time. You know what I mean? In a bathing suit, just chilling in his swim trunks and just enjoying some poolside stuff. Right? He is literally in DC doing this. I think that's a little weird. Don't you? I find that to be very, very weird. But what say you guys? What are your thoughts on this? Okay. I think this is interesting. Now, again, Inspector 12U, I don't have the people. These are according to her sources. 9 different sources spoke out about this. And again, like I said before, okay, like I said before, those sources could be lying. Those sources could be making things up just to make him look bad. But there are moments that he has been doing things that are a little bit questionable, more than just questionable, that we've been seeing in real time. Everything from him and what he's been, how he's been handling things with his girlfriend, how he's been utilizing private jets like he's a freaking superstar, do you see what I'm saying? Those are certain things. Those are certain things that should be acknowledged. They should be a huge concern. Okay? That's a huge concern. And now you're seeing in real time people going, yo, we are not sleeping at night because we are very concerned about how he has been doing things out here as of late. That's a big problem. That's a big problem to have, y'all. And understandably, I get the concern. I get why there's a concern. I guess we're going to see how things go from here. But Patel has a lot of explaining to do. And it's not going to, it's not going to be, explaining for me. It's going to be like he has a lot of explaining to do for the American people and to Trump. Because for a fact, everyone's going to be watching everything he does now. When they see him at a bar in Washington, like I said, he can't go out. He can't have a nightlife anymore. He can't. He needs to keep his ass home and chill. That's what he should be doing. And he should be on high alert because let's be real. There are plenty of issues right now that he should be more concerned about than his alcohol consumption. Just saying. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. We'll see what happens next. We will definitely see what happens next. But right now, insane. Now, here's another thing really, really quick that I think is very, very interesting. You heard, we talked about this the other day. Real quick, we talked about this the other day. Scientists are disappearing like crazy, right? Now we have another scientist, okay, another person, okay, that has gone missing. Now, hold on. There's another scientist that went missing. Now, we talked about some of this the other day, how these scientists have just gone up and have just they've been leaving under weird circumstances as well, okay? And it's very, very strange, okay? Now, hold on, I'm trying to find the stuff here because it just popped in my head. I'm like, I forgot about this. Now, of course, we have talked about the string of missing or dead scientists, okay? And more people are disappearing, right? So again, not to be, so they say it's too coincidental to not be a major concern. A congressman says as 11th mystery emerges. Now, this woman, okay, passed away from a GSW, and apparently it was her own by herself. She was done by herself. She did this herself, is what I'm meaning. And this is very interesting. So the deaths of or disappearances of 11 top U.S. scientists and researchers is a matter of urgent national importance, a member of the House Oversight Committee insisted Friday. So Representative Burleson, okay, said his office had already been eyeing some of the two coincidental disappearances a year before President Trump told reporters Thursday that he had ordered an investigation. So the lawmaker argued the fate of the scientists is almost certainly linked to the access some had to classified aerospace, defense, and UFO information. This is weird, right? And may involve bad actors from China, Russia, or Iran. So this is a rallying call to pay attention to this issue and make sure that our nation's top scientists are safe and secure. This is what Burleson said on Fox and Friends. So this is too coincidental. And so we have to be investigating this. We need to have our nation's top investigators, the FBI. I don't know about the FBI so much. And every agency looking into this matter. It's a joke. But FBI, do your FBI thing. Just not Kash Patel. Just take the back seat, bruh. Okay. Some of the scientists, Burleson noted, literally just disappeared without a trace, including Air Force Major General, we already know Neil McCaslin, which we just talked about the other day, who vanished in February after Burleson said he tried to contact him twice about his research into UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena. Government speak for UFOs. So investigators claimed that McCaslin had experienced mental fog before disappearing from his home in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The retired general had worked in top positions pertaining to space research and acquisition, with his name even appearing in the WikiLeaks dump of Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman John Podesta's emails, with former Blink-182 singer Tom DeLonge, okay, claiming to have conversed with him about UAPs. In many cases, the congressman continued, these scientists, quote unquote, felt some form of threat and left all of their devices at home before they dropped out of sight. But some of them were walking out the streets, walking into the desert, holding a weapon as well. This is not normal, okay? The representative said on Fox. These are some of the most advanced scientists, researchers in our nation. Some of the most important people in the nation, in the national security efforts, and they all just mysteriously disappeared. Burleson called for bipartisan support for a federal probe into the concerning cases. Comes after another scientist's mysterious death came under scrutiny Thursday. So, Amy Eskridge, 34, who was involved in the extensive research into anti-gravity technology, UFOs, and extraterrestrial life, died from a self-inflicted GSW to the head at her home in Huntsville, Alabama in 2022. Her demise was ruled an S, and no public information was released. Before her demise, Eskridge, had launched a research company, the Institute for Exotic Science, in order to create a public-facing persona to disclose anti-gravity technology. Look at all these scientists and those that are all connected to this situation. Weird, right? A lot of people missing. She chillingly said that she had started the company because if you stick your neck out in private, quote unquote, they will bury you. They will burn you. They will burn down your house while you're sleeping in your bed, and it won't even make the news. This is what she said. Eskridge revealed in a 2020 interview that she had plans to disclose information about UFOs and extraterrestrials to the public and was receiving threats as a result. I need to disclose soon, man. I need to publish soon because it's like escalating. It's getting more and more aggressive, she said. This has been going on for like 4 or 5 years. And over the past 12 months, it's been escalating, like more aggressive, more invasive, digging through my underwear drawer and sexual threats. Eskridge partnered with retired British intelligence officer Frank Milburn to investigate the alleged harassment. Milburn, who submitted his findings to Congress in 2023, concluded that Eskridge did not unalive herself and at one point was attacked by a quote-unquote direct energy weapon that burned her body with microwaves. Haven't we heard things like that? Like they've been using certain devices or certain technology now where it's like they got blasted with like a sound wave or something like that, and it's like discombobulating soldiers and whatnot. Haven't we heard that kind of stuff already existing now? That's something that's very interesting, right? So Trump announced Thursday that his administration would provide the public with answers in the next few days. The White House is actively working with all relevant agencies and the FBI to holistically review all of the cases together and identify any potential commonalities that may exist. This is what Caroline Leavitt said on X. No stone will be unturned in this effort, and the White House will provide updates when we have them. We'll see if that's actually true. A National Nuclear Security Administration, the NNSA spokesperson told the Post that the article we're reading here, it quote unquote is aware of reports related to employees of our labs, plants, and sites, and is looking into the actual matter. And this has been going on for years now. And now we're talking about this young woman, Amy Eskridge. Okay, this is the better shot photo of her. Amy Eskridge, who apparently had some very top secret information, knows some things so much that she was like, I need to get this stuff out here, man. I need to get this stuff published because now I'm getting threats. I'm getting serious threats. I need this stuff out here so I can live before I lose my life. And then suddenly now she gone. And she'd been gone since 2022, if I'm correct. Since 2022, found with a GSW to her head, which they believe she did to herself in Alabama in 2022. And now they're saying this is the 11th person in connection to this whole situation, or one of the 11 that is connected to this whole situation. And what's interesting to me is like, why can't they just unearth the truth? We already know that aliens exist. Obama already told us, baby. We already know that aliens exist. We've been known. And it would be very, very selfish and ignorant of us. I truly believe this. I think it would be absolutely selfish of us and ignorant of us to instantly think that extraterrestrials or aliens, life on other planets doesn't exist. That would be so crazy and so wrong for us to not believe it. With all the vast galaxies that we are continuing to see all the time, to find and discover, as science and technology gets more and more advanced and we are able to see further and further beyond the galaxy that we know exists, and we're finding more galaxies elsewhere, it'd be very, very ridiculous and selfish of us and ignorant of us to instantly assume that we are the only living beings in these multitudes of galaxies. It'd be absolutely insane for us to think that. And yes, there are people out there that think that too, that we are only one. And there's people that are worried that, that I can see why the government's not wanting that kind of truth out there because they think that it's going to cause pandemonium. That, the world as we know it and life as we know it could, at least the foundation of it could be a full-on lie. That, maybe we don't we weren't not created just by God, right? That maybe we were created by something beyond this world. That's possible too. You see what I'm saying? But who created them? You see what I'm saying? Who created them and who created them and then who created them? You see what I'm saying? So the list and the question keeps going on and on and on. It keeps backtracking like that. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying, right? So again, you know, it's very ridiculous for us to automatically think that there is no life anywhere else. And I get it that at least the government and the powers that be may not want the whole world to know that because it could cause absolute anarchy. It could. It could. But I think we're at that place now that we just need to have that. We just need to have the revelations. We just need to know the truth so we can move the F on. And you know what? That'd be wild if we are all in a simulation. If we're all in some sort of simulation, that would be absolutely wild. I don't know about all that. But I do know that there is more out there in these galaxies. And one day there will be an interaction with another kind. I truly believe that. Is it happening sooner than later? I don't know about all that. But what I do know is that there's more to us than what we know. You know? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But what say you guys? And yeah, I mean, I'm down for doing a full, big, huge conversation about the extraterrestrial thing. We talk about all that stuff on this show too, for sure. This conversation, I would love to bring somebody on, you know, an expert of some kind, talking about the scientists disappearing and, you know, what does this all mean, etc. You know? So we'll see what happens. We'll see what's going on. But I just don't think that, I think it would be extremely lazy for us to instantly think that we are the only intelligent beings on this, in this whole entire galaxy or galaxies. You know, isn't there another Earth? I think they said that they found another Earth somewhere in another galaxy, if I'm correct. So if there's another Earth in another galaxy, you don't think there's some semblance of a human race on that mother-loving Earth? You think it's just, what, just chilling? You see what I'm saying? Yeah, there is another Earth. So no other humans are on that? Some version of a human race isn't over there? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think it's very selfish and lazy for us to instantly go, there's only us. God created us. He made Adam and Eve, and then we all sprouted from them. That's what it is. No, nah. Good stories. You know, the origin story. Good stories. You know, we had to start somewhere. Who is that from? Right? So we'll see what happens. Okay. Aren't us enough? Angela. Aren't us enough? Yeah, we are enough. We are beautiful. We are awesome. Okay. We are awesome. We are beautiful. But at the same time, there's more. And you never know. That other being, let's just be real. Imagine if we were able to step foot on that other Earth. Let's just think about that for a hot minute. Just think about that for a hot minute. If we were able to go to that other Earth and just see how far they've advanced. Think about that for a hot minute. We're able to go over to that other Earth and just see how far they've advanced. They could still be cavemen. You never know. There could be dinosaurs over there. Their version of dinosaurs. You see what I'm saying? But imagine if we went there and their Earth is so far beyond advanced than ours. That'd be something interesting to see, wouldn't it? You know, see what the human race is really, truly capable of doing. You know, that'd be really exciting to see. I know that's not possible in this lifetime, but you never know. You never know. But why are these scientists losing their lives like this? It's kind of scary. It's a scary thought. Real talk. But hopefully we find out what the heck's going on and what's the connection, because there's clearly something going on. You got extraterrestrial UFO individuals that, scientists that know what's going on. They have information that they know the truth. And then all of a sudden, poof, they disappear like this. It's weird. 11 of them now. Something's up. And I truly think there's a coincidence here. I truly think there's a connection. So we'll see what happens. But that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Please do me a favor, okay? Hit that like button down below. Crush it, do what it do. Hit that reaction button. If you're watching on these other platforms, make sure you hit that like button down below or that reaction button. Of course, don't forget to hit that follow. Please and thank you. Subscribe right here on my YouTube channel. Subscribe. That would be amazing. Hit that notification bell, set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because it is random. Just to be completely real, it is random. So please do that for me, okay? Hit that join button down below, become a member, check out my Patreon, and of course, check out PascalMerch.com. Anyway, guys, it is time to get going. Much love to you guys. Stay safe out there, all y'all from all over the world. Good night in UK and all you other ones across the pond, all those other countries that are watching. Sleep well, rest your weary little heads, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? Be good to yourselves, be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.